What's up, everybody? Welcome to PSI Love You XOXO episode 69. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying, Colin? You know what I'm saying? Colin, it's episode 69.
Congratulations,
Thank you very much.
Very proud of you.
There it is, episode 69. Everybody loves it here, kind of funny. I'm one of your hosts, Greg Miller, alongside that man who wears the tight socks, Colin Moriarty.
I don't like this whole new thing. You got to just go back to the...
Nope, too bad. You didn't stop it on day one. Now it's day 4.
They're not good enough. You know, like, and I don't know if you have the mind to come up with a new one every week. That's
I got it.
That's of a good
I
caliber.
forgot about it till right there. That's where the tight socks thing came in.
I mean, who's not wearing tight socks? That could describe almost anyone.
Sure. But I mean, all of his names could be described. I mean, they could describe anybody. He only does everything. That's just a rip-off of a PlayStation slogan.
Yeah.
Pride of Long Island is Billy Joel. It's not even you. That can describe anybody from Long Island, pretty much.
Could be Jerry Seinfeld. Could be the Blue Oyster Cult.
Now, right there we have...
Natalie Portman.
We're not going to argue that Billy Joel's number 1, Pride of Long Island. Number 2, Long Island Medium. The Long Island Medium, giving Long Island a good name and
Teresa
a good reputation.
Chavuto, whatever her name
I don't
is.
know what her name is. I just know her face.
She lives in like Holtsville or Hicksville or one of those places. I don't know. Who cares? I got to be in the top 10. It's actually pretty tough. When
Is
you go,
Natalie Portman really from there?
She was, I think, born in Israel actually, but Lindsay Lohan.
No, well, she's not in the top 10.
If you really look at Long Island, we export an unusual amount of people per capita that are notable.
Yeah.
Lots of good bands, lots of good actors.
Do you think it's
lots
because
of people like me.
It's like a wealthy, well-to-do place? Those people already have a step. They already have the silver spoon in their mouth.
It's possible. I mean,
like a young Colin
Did
Moriarty.
Twisted Sister have spoons in their mouths when
I'm
they
sure
fucking...
they did. And then they had the spoon over the
rocked.
flame, and then they had the needle in their arm.
I don't think that ever happened. I don't think they ever fell apart like that. But
no, I don't think they fell apart. They just did some recreational drugs here and there.
Well, that's fine.
They permed their hair and they did drugs. I think everybody would.
They did perm their hair.
Yeah.
So no, it's hard to say who in the echelons of Long Island is higher than whom, but I would say it's got to be Billy Joel and Jerry Seinfeld and a few others, and then probably me.
Okay. I can respect that. Colin, how you been?
I'm fine, thank you. How are you?
Going? I'm good. How was your weekend?
Football games were terrible this weekend. All 4 of them just fucking sucked.
Yeah.
First of all, not one wild card team even made it past the wild card round, so we could have just not even had those football games,
sure,
which would have been fine. It's the same exact outcome. Somehow, the Houston Texans, who are just an abysmal football team, beat the Raiders playing their 23-year-old rookie quarterbacks never touched a fucking football in the NFL.
At halftime, I went and took a nap, and then I woke up in the game.
They were terrible.
Yeah.
So I saw that the line they're playing the Patriots in New England, and the line opened at something like 18.5 points or something like that. And I'm like, well, that's just going to get even bigger, isn't it? So, so that was boring. But but I watched all 4 of the games nonetheless, hoping for something good. I mean, the most dramatic game for a little while was the Giants-Packers game, but even that was a fucking blowout. That got out of control at the end, yeah. So that was just a boring weekend. I'm looking forward to next weekend's games. But it played Shantae, half Genie Hero, almost done with it. I'm 100%ing it, so I'm at the last stage, and I think I'm missing like a heart piece or something.
When you're saying 100%, it's got a platinum, right?
Yeah, I don't mean that, because to get the maybe I will one day, but to get the platinum, you have to beat the game in 2 hours, and you have to beat the game in 4 hours with 100% of the items.
Gotcha.
So, which is the 2 hour one doesn't sound that hard at all, actually, but the game's not hard, like in the least.
Are you still enjoying it? Because I talked about it last episode. I played the first level and a half or whatever, and I was like, holy shit, I like this. I'm going to play it in Australia.
Yeah, I loved it actually. I think it's really good. I think I was completely wrong about its art aesthetic too. Last week I talked about how the 2.5D thing, and just in the brief time I was playing it, just doesn't strike me. But I think that and I don't think that the level design is anything like spectacular, but the character models and the animations are really, really awesome. Shantae's character is really a cool character, and the bad guys and everything are interesting. So that balances it out. So I was a little bit wrong about that, but glad I stuck with it. It's a fun game, a lot to do in it. I played it for like 8 hours or something like that, and then I went back to Rise of the Tomb Raider again in the game that will not end ever, no matter how much you want it to.
I heard you complaining from down the hall the other day that you were like, it keeps going.
But because like you think that you're getting like, how many more areas could there possibly be? Now I'm certainly dragging it out. I mean, we're approaching hour 40 in the game for sure.
Yeah.
What's
your platinum feel on this one?
Oh, I'm not going to platinum. I just want to 100% it.
Okay.
I just feel like I like doing that kind of stuff. The platinum trophies, you have to do all the time attack shit, so that's not happening.
Mm-hmm.
The game says with all of the collectibles plus story progress, I'm 85% through the game, so I have to be like pretty much there. I mean, I've cleared most of the maps. There's like a few things I'm missing, like a few relics and shit like that. But the game's great. It's just like I'm ready to move on. But it's also the nature in which I'm playing it. I could have beaten it in probably 8 hours if I really wanted to. It's not that, again, not a hard game, and I'm playing it on Survivor difficulty, so it's not like it. But the game's not incredibly hard. So it's so generous with its curative items. The upgrades really kind of break the game, I think. But that's the way upgrades usually are. But I want to cast that all aside. I was gonna move on to Far Cry Primal, but then I got Tales of Berseria today. The new Tales game comes out in a few weeks, and so I'm anxious to jump back into that. I'd like it to be. I mean, I'm a huge Tales fan going back to Destiny, which was the first one we got in the United States in '98, and then Fantasia was the first one that actually came out. That was in '95, and in Japan we got that on Game Boy Advance. Anyway, I'm a huge fan of that series. I played almost all of them. And beaten almost all of them. Tales of Exilia and Tales of Exilia 2 were really great games. Exilia 2 was one of the last games I reviewed at IGN. And when Tales of Zestiria came out, I guess a year and a half ago, it was a very different kind of game. And I played it only for a few hours, and which is unusual because usually I lose my life.
You love those things, yeah. You're all over them.
And it just wasn't right. And apparently and a lot of people agree. And apparently this is a return to form. So I'm looking forward to playing it. The art itself, like the box art, really strikes me as something that's pretty cool. It's just a picture of the protagonist, but in that pencil drawn style that Tales fans would know, that all the characters are designed on paper, and kind of struck me with an old school kind of thing. So I'm excited to play that while we anticipate Resident Evil, which is really the game
Resident Evil.
Super stoked about. And I mean, there's not much else coming out.
Now, here's my question. Yeah. Is Resident Evil going to be the slump buster for VR, you think? Are you actually going to commit to playing that in VR?
Yeah, I'm going to play that in VR. Okay. Whether or not who knows if I can last through it in VR, but that's the intent. Because I think that's what VR is made for, is that I think those kinds of games, or at least that's the proof of concept. So I'm excited about that. But there's not much coming out. I mean, as you'll see during trophies, like there's just no trophies being posted. There's just no games of any consequence that I care about coming out anytime soon. I know Gravity Rush 2 is coming out, which we'll talk about 10 or 15 people will play, and then but Horizon's really the big one. On the horizon, as it were.
Yeah.
How about you? What have you been doing?
So I've been playing a bunch of stuff. Now I think I was wrong. It might have been PS I Love You XOXO last week, or one of the morning shows or whatever. But at some point I said that I thought I'd be able to talk about Yakuza 0 today. Turns out that embargo is still another week or two off, or whatever it is, right before it comes out. So I think it's not.
I think it comes out the same day Resident Evil comes out.
It's not even next PS I Love You. I think just for our posting schedule, I think it'll be like the one after, whatever. So I can't say anything about Yakuza 0. Been playing Gravity Rush 2. By the time this post embargo review is up, I thought it was interesting. I played it for a night and was enjoying myself or whatever. Then, next morning woke up. I think that's when we got Yakuza. I played that the next night, and then I played something else, and da-da-da-da. But you and I had a candid conversation the other day. You're like, how is it? I heard it's bad. Where did you hear it was bad?
I just heard the demo for Gravity Rush 2 is not good.
Okay. My thing is, I think that it's Gravity Rush. You know what I mean? Like, I'm playing this, and I'm like, all right, this is Gravity Rush. It's even less comic booky in terms of its cutscenes and presentation than I think Gravity Rush originally was on Vita, which was, I thought, one of its cooler parts, so that had a cover for every story. This time chapters begin, and it doesn't give that vibe. You still get cutscenes that are comic panels and talking to each other and all that stuff. But for better or worse, I think it's Gravity Rush again, which I gave a 7.5 at IGN, which I stand by. I enjoyed it. I thought it was a good game, but I didn't think it was going to set the world on fire. Same thing here. I haven't played far enough to even get the new powers. I had demos, they always sit us down like, now you're fucking super light, now you're super heavy, and we're going to fuck around with that. I haven't gotten that, but I'm enjoying the return to being Kat and seeing her story, and it's in a different spot, and it starts in an interesting way of being powerless, and how are you going to go on and continue it. But as evident, I think, by that much as I've hopped around, and we'll talk about that in a second, the hooks aren't in me. It's Gravity Rush. That's awesome. I'll get back to it, but it's always going to be something that's just there on the back burner for whatever I'm in the mood for. Maybe I'll jump to it. I don't think it's bad, but maybe somebody's, running. I don't, the demo, I'm not sure what part of the game it is, if it is the light and it is the heavy.
I just heard bad things about the demo.
Sure. But I think it's the same thing you probably heard about Gravity Rush originally, right? Like, in terms of like, not a game for everybody. This is kind of weird.
I certainly didn't like it. I mean, I when we got on Vita, I was excited about it because it was a very early first party game for Vita, but yeah, it wasn't for me. I mean, I appreciate why people like it. It's just I don't understand, and we'll find out soon enough. I mean, obviously the sequel's for someone, but I just don't understand why it's even. And
this is the same. This is what we talked about last week. And we're about to jump to Reaper Wolf 91's question. That I think everybody who's going to buy Gravity Rush 2 and enjoy Gravity Rush 2 are the same people who bought Gravity Rush on Vita, and why didn't you just put it back on Vita if that's the case? This is going to underperform as a PlayStation 4 game, period. And it would have been fine as a Vita game. It would have done as much same.
Or at least cross-platform would have been interesting.
Reaper Wolf 91 though wrote in to kindafunny.com/PSQ, just like you can, to get your question on the air, and says, "Hey Greg, Kevin, and Colin. I'll keep it short and sweet this week. I just finished watching episode 68. Thanks for picking my real forgotten game of the week." Remember, we didn't know if it was forgotten or not. "I was quite alarmed when you guys started talking about Gravity Rush and Gravity Rush 2. I really enjoyed the first one, and I'm enjoying my second playthrough. As a bona fide member of Vita Island, I immediately decided to wait for the Vita version of Gravity Rush 2 as soon as it was announced. Now, I'm wondering if there will be a Vita version of Gravity Rush 2 at all, since it seems like it's jumped to the PlayStation 4 for good. Thoughts?" Yeah, it's never coming to Vita.
No, it's not coming to Vita.
No, not a chance in hell is it coming to Vita. Sorry.
My assumption is that it was greenlit and developed for Vita originally, and because I saw a little bit of you playing it. Certainly doesn't look very good, and it
looks like Gravity Rush. Again, yeah, that's my thing. Is like to temper everyone's expectation for this game. It's Gravity Rush again, which is either great or good as a 7.5, or you don't give a flying fuck like Colin.
But yeah, I mean, I hope people out there enjoy it. But yeah, my assumption is that it was greenlit as a Vita game. It was because you remember it was announced at Tokyo Game Show. I want to say in I was there. It was 2014, maybe 2015, one of those, and it was announced as Project Gravity or some weird thing like that on a sizzle reel above the Sony booth. I remember seeing it. And a lot of people were seeing it and writing about it, and there was no platforms confirmed. And my assumption is that at some point they were like, we got to get this thing off of this PS4, or onto the PS4 and off of the Vita. But I'm the same way with you, where if the ceiling of sales for this game is something akin to the original Gravity Rush, which convinced them not to put it on the Vita again, then why does the sequel exist at all? This seems like a very strange kind of...
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that you shouldn't take risks and release interesting games. I think Puppeteer is a really good example of a PlayStation 3 game that was phenomenal. That like... Sony probably had no business making, and they probably ate shit on that game. But it was a great game, and maybe they'll have a similar situation with this. But if what you're saying is true, and I think it probably is, that the ceiling of sales is akin to probably some sort of algorithmic combination of the Vita sales of Gravity Rush combined with, I'm sure, the very tepid and low sales of Gravity Rush's port to PlayStation 4, it begs the question... Gravity Rush 2 is, in my opinion, good for a few 100,000 copies sold, probably like that, and that's not gonna do anything for Sony. They're gonna not make anything.
It's weird for me.
I hope I'm wrong. I hope it sells millions of copies.
Oh yeah, we're not going to be, but I'd hope that too. If it speaks to me in the way PlayStation All Stars did, right, where they put Cat in that as DLC and stuff, and like, all right, we're gonna make this a thing. We are gonna make Cat happen, and Cat's not gonna happen. Gravity Rush isn't gonna happen. And again, what you're saying is right. Take chances, do whatever you want to, do. We're not saying that, but are they okay taking that chance and knowing it's going to fail? Are they? What do they expect Gravity Rush 2 to do?
I think they just got to get it out. I think their expectation when they clearly weren't thinking too deeply about Gravity Rush 2 when they put The Last Guardian right on top of it. And no offense to anyone over there, because I don't know what the hell's going on in terms of like their release date, but it doesn't even seem like anyone really thought about that. Like that's the crazy thing is like someone's like, let's just move it here, but like
no one's like
it's
looking
3 days away from the other one that you're releasing this. So like Gravity Rush 2 just seemed to be like this afterthought, and then they were like, the game's done, we're just going to kick it into January. Meanwhile, The Last Guardian is going to find out seems to have commercially bombed, and and then this game is so it's just like
the thing.
It's on top of good news with other first party games selling very well, as we'll get into.
Exactly, but I mean that's the thing of where it all comes back to is like this isn't a game you're going to see commercials for. It isn't a game that they're going to go out of their way to market because it's going to speak to the Gravity Rush fan, and if we're going to speak to the Gravity Rush fan, leave it on Vita. It should have just been left on Vita, and there you go.
Yep, I agree. But well, the interesting thing about that is that the monetary calculus on Vita is probably way different. The game probably would have been way easier resource wise to develop on Vita, and then they would have had to make less money on Vita, and it would have been a good.
Goodwill gesture to the fans of, hey, thanks
swan
for
song
this.
for the first party, since clearly Freedom Wars 2 or anything like that's not going to happen. So it's a very curious situation. But we move on to that, and then we get into the meat with Horizon.
Exactly. All the same, I'm enjoying Gravity Rush 2. Not enough where I'm like addicted to it. I have to play more of it. I'm going to play more of it, I'm sure, as I go through my life, as they say here in 2017, after I clear some of the things I'm playing now. But it's more Gravity Rush, which I'm fine with. Maybe it falls apart and it gets bad when something else happens, but I'm enjoying it fine.
I was just reading stuff about the demo specifically.
Sure.
But again, it reminds me of, well, not so much Knack, where like Knack actually didn't seem bad until it came out.
Sure.
Like a lot of people are like, Knack's going to be bad, and I'm like, but all the demos I played didn't indicate that at all. But then they just pick out an interesting part of the game. The interesting thing about Gravity Rush 2 is if the demo is bad, then why would you pick out a bad part of the game?
Well, my thing about it, not having read any of the criticism, not knowing exactly but they're like, all I'm doing is jumping there and hitting these things in their purple bits. I'm like, yep, that's Gravity Rush. That's exactly. I could have told you before I even played this game that they were not going to. It's not different. It is the exact same thing of jump up, attack these creatures, come down. Here's a cutscene. There's the mining missions now where you go out, you defend this guy as he gets stuff, and it's just jumping in the air and kicking the shit out of things once in a while. And the combat's not the best part of that, obviously. It's the fact you're flying around, acting cool. So I've been playing Gravity Rush 2. Playing Yakuza 0, can't talk to you about it. The other one I started this weekend that I'm really enjoying, I'm halfway through, 2064 Read-Only Memories. You remember hearing about this game?
Yeah, the Vita game, Vita late, the port late or something?
Yeah, exactly. It was a PlayStation 4 Vita game. They've pushed it off. It's somewhere delayed down the line or whatever. I'm playing on PlayStation 4. I'm really enjoying myself, and I think part of it is the fact that it's in Neo SF, and it's Neo San Francisco. It's 2064 is when it's set, but it totally is like, hey, we're in the Sunset. Hey, we're in the Richmond. All right, hey, if you want to go into your thing and read the news that doesn't actually pertain to the game, at least so far, it's talking about the San Francisco 49ers and their quest for 10 and how they're playing the Tokyo, and it's like this really cool, really, really awesome realized world. Now, here's what I come down to with you. Have you played or done anything or seen anything for Read-Only Memories?
I mean, a long time ago, I played it on Vita, like when they brought it around, when they used to bring Vita around with a bunch of games on it.
What do you classify this as a genre?
Adventure game.
It is adventure?
I mean, from what I remember, it seemed like an adventure.
It's, for me, I'm playing it and I'm enjoying it, but I keep going back and forth between, is this like Danganronpa interactive story kind of thing, or is it a point and click adventure, or is it whatever this is?
Well, I would say Danganronpa is its own. It's a subgenre of adventure.
Okay. Because that's what's been interesting to me. Because I don't like if I was to tell somebody, oh, it's an adventure game, that would be a turnoff to me. But it's not an adventure game in the way of you found this fucking doorknob, and now you got to figure out how to get on the plane with it. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, that's not all the stupid shit that adventure games do, where you walk around and you interact with everything. This is very much telling you a story. You get to pick the way you respond. That influences the way characters talk to you a little bit or whatever. But it is, okay, we need to get into the VIP lounge. We need somebody to vouch for us. You go around, you talk to people, you say the right things, you impress this person, they take you. It's not like I'm hitting those walls of like, well, fuck, I have this wet floor sign. And if I could only figure out how to get that coil out of the wall. I'm enjoying it a lot, though. It's a cool story. It's very interesting characters. The voice work's really well done, which is something they had made a big deal about when they put in the cast, right? That like Xavier Woods, Austin Creed was in it. Melissa Hutchinson is in there. Gavin's in there. There's a whole bunch. Jim Sterling's in there. He does a really good job too. Really cool characters, really cool story so far. I thought when I first started it, I was like, is this going to be a game for me? Because you're picking your responses and it's all happening on just this screen with like, the little window over here of like who's talking to you or what your menu bar, and then a little picture of the room. You don't see your character ever. Your character doesn't actually have any VO of itself. So when it started in a room and I'm like walking around, clicking on the different things on my desk and talking and like reading about what I'm thinking about them, I was like, I don't know. But as soon as we introduced Turing, a few other an AI bot there, really got into it. So I'm excited to see that get out to everybody else and see what they think of it. But I'm also excited to finish it. 6 chapters, I think I'm 3 in right now. Cool. Enjoy myself quite a bit.
Yeah, well, I think per the genre conversation, I think similar to action, I think adventure is a very big umbrella. Like that kind of just goes into narrative-driven passive games. So I would always classify something like what you're describing or something like Danganronpa, even though Danganronpa is a visual novel in a way or a narrative, kind of like 999 or something but they're adventure games. Okay. So yeah, I think it's safe to
visual novel is what I was searching for before. Yeah. Good call. So everybody check that out when they get the chance. And then here, we're going to go into a question that'll lead to the final game I've been playing. It's that Dave wrote into kindoffunny.com/PSQ, just like you can, to get your question read on the air, and says, hey fellas, you guys often talk about being in the right mood for a game and how that can affect your opinions of it. For example, I played Journey when it came out to PlayStation Plus for free a few months ago, and honestly, I don't see the big deal about it. Now, that could be that I just wasn't really feeling it at the time and still decided to finish up, but you guys also say that this is a game that you can only play through once to change your life, or something to that matter. I was just wondering if there were any games you have played at one time that you didn't really dig, and if you ever went back to said game, forever in your hearts, Dave. This came around about this weekend where I was playing Gravity Rush. I had Gravity Rush, Yakuza, and 2064. And I'm like, I'm going to play these. Well, I'm going to play these this weekend. I can't wait. Played a little bit of all of them, and then I jumped into 2064, really got into that on Saturday and played for a long, long time. A bunch of hours put together. I was like, all right, cool. Stopped. Actually, when I went out to watch football with you, I was just remote playing it on my Vita and stuff. Works awesome on the Vita too. So if you can wait for the Vita port, if that's ever going to happen, it'd be a great Vita game. I digress. Sunday, I wake up though, feeling a little sick. Want to play something, but I want to stay tucked in bed. You know what I mean? Have a little porty there, do something. 2064, great, good story, but I want to be mentally there. I want to read it. I want to be there. I want to make my choices. Gravity Rush, not hitting the spot for this kind of deal. Yakuza, same thing, where it's like, these are games I want to play, not what I want right now. What I did, Colin, is I put on Lego Marvel Superheroes. This is not the Avengers game I was in from last year. This is the one from the launch of the PlayStation 4. Because I just wanted something like, that tangible, like, just comfort food. You know what I mean? A comfort video gaming food where I could play that and I knew what I was getting into. I had started it when it came out at launch. I remember playing it with Christine and never went back to it. Just got distracted. There's a million things happening at launch. But put that back in there and now I'm going and it's exactly what I wanted in the moment because now here I am with comfort food and I just want to go through and beat every level and get all the studs and get the platinum and da-da-da-da-da. But it was interesting that it caught me off guard because I'm still waiting for Ratchet & Clank's day. I still have that second half of Ratchet & Clank to finish on PlayStation 4.
You're never going to finish it.
I'm going to finish it.
No, you're never going to finish it.
Colin, why would you do this?
It's not going to be enough time. You're never going to be Ratchet & Clank.
No.
It's okay. I accept that. It's fine.
No.
I messed up. You should have beaten it when it came out, but it's not. It's no big deal. We got to
waiting for the right mood.
We got like 3 weeks early. It's no big deal.
I'm waiting for the right mood.
Yeah, I think the game that comes to mind with this particular question is Dark Souls. And I remember when Demon Souls came out, we told the story many times. No one gave a flying fuck about Demon Souls when it came out. And we got the game at IGN. We're like, we didn't even review it.
Yeah,
and then
Sam Bishop.
We sent it out to Sam Bishop, who works at PlayStation now. And he reviewed and he really loved it. And I'm like, I remember bringing it home before it came out. Atlas published it here. As you guys might know, Sony published it in the East. And I was like, I don't want to play this.
Yeah.
And so then, Sony obviously shit the bed with Demon Souls, kind of lost control of what From was doing. Namco Bandai walks in. They publish Dark Souls and everything. And Dark Souls comes out and I play it again because there's like this small niche of people in 09, 10, whatever it was. I guess actually we were in the new office. It must have been like 2010 or something when Demon Souls came out. And then people were like, you're missing out on this really spectacular kind of game. And I'm like, I don't really believe you, but I'm going to play it anyway. And then I played it to an extent. And then I was like, I get what you're saying, but this game isn't for me. And then I remember taking an entire week off at IGN just to play Dark Souls. And this is the thing that really bothers me about, like, people are like, you just don't give it a chance. I'm like, no, I gave it a chance. I started again from the beginning, very meticulously played through again a portion of the game. And I'm like, I understand why you like this. I just don't want to play it. It's similar to Assassin's Creed for me, where I'm like, I get why this is cool. I wish I liked this. I like, especially Assassin's Creed. Yeah, I'll never forget. I was like, I want to love this game. This game is made for me, but it's just not very good, and it's not for me. And so Dark Souls is one of those things. I never played Dark Souls 2. I never played Dark Souls 3. Bloodborne was the game where things finally started to click for me, and I dumped a lot of time into Bloodborne, and I really liked it. Again, it was a little quicker, which I think Dark Souls could have benefited from a more arcadey kind of feel. But going back to the original Dark Souls, it never really like clicked for me. Like, I understood why people liked it, and people were like, well, you like hard games and grueling games and these meticulous gameplay centric games. And I'm like, I do. I just don't think this is fun. And that's just because something is like that doesn't mean it's fun. There are very hard NES side scrollers that are not fun. Just because they're hard side scrollers doesn't mean I'm going to like them. And the same thing with Dark Souls, just because it's a hard kind of grueling game that's very punishing doesn't mean I liked it. But Bloodborne's particular formula for whatever they did fixed that for me, which is why I'm confident we're going to get Bloodborne too. And so that's what comes to mind for me. But I don't often go back to games that I like abandoned because I didn't like them and then find out that I liked them. I mean, that doesn't happen very often. Yeah, I probably did when I was younger.
The liking thing's different. Obviously I love Lego games. I play them all the time. But I think it's more rare that I come back to a game that I've been like, all right, cool, I've played enough of this, or I'm done, and I move. I mean, it's years of the PlayStation 4 launch. I haven't touched this game since. It's interesting to jump in there and have that experience. But that's how games work. If you didn't know, this is PS I Love You XOXO. It is kindafunny.com's PlayStation podcast. It is the #1 PlayStation podcast on the internet, and it posts every Tuesday at 9 a.m. Pacific time on youtube.com/kindafunnygames and podcast services around the globe. So go like, subscribe, share, subscribe to everything else. Do that stuff. Share it with your friends. Pause it right now. Find your mom and tell her, yo, bitch, this shit's the jam. Also, piece of housekeeping for you. This doesn't really apply, but you're a video game fan, so it kind of applies. Remember, the Nintendo Switch event is Thursday. We'll be doing coverage here on twitch.tv/kindafunnygames.
Is it this Thursday?
Yep. Excited?
God. Yeah, no, I'm interested in what time do we have to do this?
7:30 is the pre-show at night, Pacific time. 8 o'clock is the stream. You can watch along with us. Reactions after that.
Okay.
Can you do that? I'm assuming we don't do the morning show in the morning.
Yeah, no, that's fine. I'm fine with that.
Come there. All right, cool. So do that. Colin, let's begin the show with what is, oh God, he's dying, and forever will be, Roper's Report. Time for some singular possessive news.
So I actually wrote this last night, and then I verified that nothing else happened today of consequence. It didn't. There are, and I say that only because it's a pretty robust, I mean, it's not volumetric or robust, but it's a robust informational Roper's Report of 10 items.
A baker's dozen. Yo,
Number
bitch, the jam.
1. Can't find a good place for my laptop.
Garbage can.
Number 1. PlayStation 4's pace as sales behemoth continues unabated. At Sony's CES press conference, the company revealed that 53.4 million PS4s have been sold worldwide as of January 1st. From November 21st through January 1st alone, the PlayStation 4 sold 6.2 million units. As an aside, just because I was thinking about this, that's half as many Wii U's that have been sold worldwide.
Bazing.
At 53.4 million units sold, PS4 remains 12th on the list of best-selling gaming hardware and 7th when removing handhelds. Right behind it on the list is SNES at 49.1 million units. Ahead of it is Nintendo 3DS, which sits at 61.57 million units. Also important to note that 3DSs will continue to sell. In terms of software, 50.4 million games were sold on PlayStation 4 from November 11th through December 31st, or about one game sold per every console in the wild for that short period of time. So Sony continuing to just destroy, and I'm getting more and more confident that they will hit 100 million units, which is incredible when you consider like that. I thought that number was completely out of reach. If the PS4 gets anywhere near the Wii, which is 102 million units, the PS1 is a hair above 100. I think it's like 101.8 or something like that. That's in good company because after that, the only things that are there is you're going to be around the Game Boy, and then you're going to have the DS and then the PS2. So. Then the PS2 is 152 million. That's never going to happen. Number 2. Sony has also revealed fantastic sales figures for Uncharted 4: A Thief's End.
Hey.
From its launch on May 10th until December 21st of 2016, the game sold 8.7 million copies.
God damn.
Giving it an attach rate of nearly 1 in every 5 PS4 consoles. It is, quote, the fastest selling PlayStation 4 first-party title to date, end quote, according to Sony, and presumably its top-selling exclusive overall. And I mean that only on PS4. I can't think of a PS4 exclusive that would have been anywhere near that. Yeah. So congratulations to Naughty Dog.
Well deserved.
Now here's where we're going to get into the meat. This is going to take a little bit of time.
Get some meat on your bones.
Number 3. Sony has revealed the best-selling digital games on PlayStation Network for the entire year of 2016. Usually I cut these down to 10 games apiece, but since it is the yearly figure, we'll do all 20 for all the platforms. That's
nice.
Applicable platforms.
Proud.
The top 20 best-selling PS4 games for the year were in order, and again, these are digital sales. Rocket League, Battlefield 1, Minecraft, Call of Duty Infinite Warfare, The Division, Grand Theft Auto 5, Overwatch, Battlefield 4, No Man's Sky, FIFA 17, NBA 2K17, Need for Speed, Star Wars Battlefront, Rainbow Six Siege, Battlefield Hardline, Madden 17, The Elder Scrolls 5 Skyrim Special Edition, Uncharted 4 Thief's End, The Last of Us Remastered, and Final Fantasy 15. All right, so there's some interesting stuff you can read in here. We know 8.7 million copies cumulative across retail and digital channels, assuming that a fourth or let's say a fifth of the Uncharted copies sold. Let's say Uncharted sold 2 million digital copies, then, which I think is a safe assumption. You can look at that as being number 18 on the list of 20, which means everything above that sold better. Again, those are loose kind of conjectured numbers, but interesting. And the big winner here is Battlefield, which Battlefield 1, Battlefield 4, and Battlefield Hardline in the 3 of the top 20 best-selling games on PlayStation 4.
Not too shabby.
All right, the top 20 best-selling PS3 games for the year were in order, again, digital. Minecraft, The Last of Us, Grand Theft Auto 5, Little Big Planet 3, Plants vs. Zombies Garden Warfare, Battlefield 4, Call of Duty Black Ops 3, Need for Speed, Most Wanted, FIFA 17, Watch Dogs, Dragon Ball Xenoverse, Dark Souls 2, Goat Simulator, Red Dead Redemption, FIFA 16, Grand Theft Auto San Andreas, Gran Turismo 6, MLB The Show 16, and Pro Evolution Soccer 2017. The top 10 best-selling PSVR games for the year in order were
Job
Simulator, Batman Arkham VR, Until Dawn, Rush of Blood, PlayStation VR Worlds, Keep Talking and Nobody Explodes, Here They Lie, Sports Bar VR, Carnival Games VR, Harmonix Music VR, and Valkyrie.
So, you sorry bastards who bought Harmonix Music VR.
The top 10 best-selling PS Vita games for the year were in order, digital. Digimon Story Cyber Sleuth, Minecraft, God Eater Resurrection, XCOM Enemy Unknown Plus, Borderlands 2, Persona 4 Golden, Jack and Daxter Collection, Sword Art Online, Hollow Fragment, Ratchet & Clank Collection, and Severed.
Oh, nice. Good job, Severed.
And finally, the top 10 best-selling PS classics for the year were in order. Grand Theft Auto San Andreas, Bully, Grand Theft Auto The Trilogy, Dark Cloud 2, Twisted Metal Black, The Warriors, Grand Theft Auto Vice City, Star Wars Bounty Hunter, Rogue Galaxy, and Manhunt.
I would love to know what the return on investment is for those PlayStation 2 classics. Because Rockstar just all over it.
I'm sure they make a lot of money.
I know. I'd love to know. I'd love to actually get figures on that and what that actually looks like, how much they return for each one of those games. And how many they're actually selling, I guess, too.
Number 4 is Associated. Because as likewise and perhaps less interestingly, Sony revealed the best-selling digital games on PlayStation Network for the month of December 2016. Some interesting stuff in here, Greg. I think you'll be able to figure out what that is.
Oh, I know where you're going with this one.
The top 10 best-selling PS4 games for the month were in order. Ark, which is interesting.
Which we have, somebody hit us up like, hey, nobody, like us and Christian Splicer was just like, hey, like, nobody's talking about this. It's doing really well. We're all like,
yeah, I
just haven't tried it. I have it on my unit. I just haven't actually turned it on.
So number 1's Ark, Final Fantasy 15, Need for Speed, Grand Theft Auto 5, Call of Duty Infinite Warfare, Battlefield 1, Ultimate Marvel vs. Capcom 3, Watch Dogs 2, Star Wars Battlefront, and Rocket League. This list goes down to 20 and The Last Guardian, which came out December 6th.
Surely it's got to be in the top 20.
Nowhere to be found.
No, not in the top 20. What a surprise!
That game bombed. Like I think clearly. Like some people are like, well, I think there's some interesting theories about why not. It's like, well, did people pay for their pre-orders a long time ago? I'm like, possibly. I don't know if that counts. Is this a game that people want
to have
retail? Possibly.
Yeah. I feel like
I don't know that. I mean, the game's not going to be on MPD, and I don't think that. I think the game clearly didn't do well.
I think the most realistic. I don't think it did well either. I think the most realistic answer is the fact that yes, this is appealing to a subset of PlayStation fans that have been waiting so long for this game, that are so into this game. It's probably the same. We talk about Venn diagrams all the time. I imagine the crossover between the people who want to have their games on their shelf and have this collection. That's the big part of it. Where it is you have that, you have Shadow, you have Eco, you have the remasters. You want it all together on one shelf, I assume. But Valkyrie X wrote in to kindafunny.com/PSQ just like you can. It said, hi, Greg and Colin. Colin, you recently tweeted that The Last Guardian was not in the top 20 downloaded games on PSN in December. My question is, do you think Sony knows that The Last Guardian was never going to make its money back, and that releasing The Last Guardian was more of a nice gesture to fans and an investment on some goodwill? Also, what do you think realistic sales expectations for The Last Guardian should have been? You often mention in the past that games released by NIS and Exceed that only sell 50,000 copies can be viewed as successes because those publishers have realistic expectations for them. While The Last Guardian isn't as niche as those games, it's also not as AAA as games like Battlefield or Call of Duty. What is the right amount of expectations for a game like The Last Guardian? Thanks, Valkyrie X.
I don't know. I mean, as I said before, and some people got mad about it, where I was just like, I think expectations played into a lot of things with this game, negative or positive. The Last Guardian is a AAA game. It's a AAA game that looks like it was AAA 10 years ago, but it was a AAA game nonetheless. And yeah, a team of 300 people didn't make The Last Guardian, but they took a very long period of time to make the game, and so that set up different expectations. Do I think that they released it knowing they weren't going to make any money? Did I think they released it? Yeah, I think they're not stupid. They knew that. I still think. I'm glad that they released it in the sense that some people enjoy it and people seem to have like it or whatever. But at the same time, I don't think that I think they should have probably canceled the game. And,
a long time ago, years and years ago.
And so I'm glad that they got it out the door. I don't think it's this because it's a very divisive game. When I tweet about it, I expected to get a lot more hate than I do, but a lot of people are like, this game sucks. Like there's a lot of people out there that like this game just bad, And I'm like, well, I didn't play enough of it to call it bad, but I played an hour of it, and I'm not wasting any more time with it. Yeah. That's just not going to happen. I deleted it off my console, deleted the save, and X'd out the trophies since I didn't earn any of them. I'm like, we're just going to pretend this never happened.
To me, in my mind, this did get canceled.
So, yeah, I think that they released it as a goodwill gesture. I think it was something that they had to see through. I think it was important to them probably internally. I think it was probably important to Japan Studio specifically internally, and the remnants of Team Eco, which is now called Gen Design. And people are like, they should make another game. And I'm like, I wouldn't count on that. I think Sony would want to stay far away from everything going on with anything, Ueda and those guys touched, since they clearly shit the bed with the game. So yeah, I think that they had expectations that were probably met. And yeah, to the point, yeah, Danganronpa I think sold a couple 100,000 copies or something, is considered like a wild success. And that's because NIS is a company of not many people.
Yeah.
The game is made by Spike Chunsoft, licensed to NIS for localization and translation, and they put the game out. And so there's a lot of money to be made there. When you're investing, first party resources into a game, that's a very different kind of thing. And that's why, Uncharted 4 selling 8.7 million copies or whatever is extraordinary. And that's a lot of copies of a first party game, no matter how you slice that any way for any of the companies. And I'm sure they were thrilled about that. That's way more than the other Uncharted games sold. I know that.
Yeah, that's the big thing. Is we always talk about the Uncharted numbers and stuff, how it's been a slow build and it's been good, but it was that thing of, remember, I had that bet with Jim Riley or whatever, where it was going to be that Uncharted was not going to even, or Gears of War would sell more than every, Sony first party exclusive that year or whatever, and it did. And it's like, that's crazy to think about. And I don't know if Uncharted was in that anymore now that I say that, but it was that, and it might have been.
I thought it was,
yeah. Yeah, exactly. That was the whole point. And that really puts into perspective what Uncharted was moving back in the day.
Yeah, and I think that another important component of this is that this now sets the Uncharted sales particularly set. Let's back up. The soft sales of Last Guardian and clearly Gravity Rush 2 is going to sell soft too. Those are going to be eradicated, or they're willing to take those losses probably because they look earlier last year and they're like, well, we have Uncharted, and then Horizon's going to sell millions of copies. So
you think so?
Yeah,
out the gate?
Absolutely.
What do you think that number is going to look like?
I don't know, 5 million.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. I think they're
going to push it hard, and I think that the install base is over 50 million. That if it sold 5 million, that's 1 in 10, 1 in 11 actually. PS4s, which is I think actually really conservative. Mm-hmm. So, and I'm not saying it's going to do that immediately, but when they announce sales, it's going to be in the millions. And I think Horizon is clearly going to be, or clearly has the potential. It could be a fucking turd for all I know, but clearly
Herman wouldn't put out a turd.
No, and also I played it extensively, and it's not a turd. I think that game is safe to assume that PS4 will have its next big game with Horizon.
I hope so,
and that. It's worth noting that I think Sony feels that way about it too.
Yeah, they've openly talked about that, right? Where they think it could be the next big thing. It could be a pillar for them.
Continuing the list, the top 10 best-selling PS3 games of the month in order, digital. FIFA 17, Grand Theft Auto 5, The Last of Us, Minecraft, Plants vs. Zombies, Garden Warfare, Goat Simulator, Need for Speed Most Wanted, Pro Evolution Soccer 2017, Madden 17, and Little Big Planet 3. The top 10 best-selling PSVR games for the month were in order: Job Simulator, I Expect You to Die, Fruit Ninja VR, PlayStation VR Worlds, Batman Arkham VR, Until Dawn Rush of Blood, Sports Bar VR, Here They Lie, Keep Talking and Nobody Explodes, and Surgeon Simulator.
I didn't even know Fruit Ninja VR came out.
I saw it at some point at some place, I don't know. The secret of...
What the hell does that mean?
The top 10 best-selling PS Vita games for the month were in order: Adventure Time, The Secret of the Nameless Kingdom, Muramasa Rebirth, Minecraft, Jak and Daxter Collection, XCOM Enemy Unknown Plus, Darkest Dungeon, Axiom Verge, Civilization Revolution 2 Plus, Rage Again, and Severed. And finally, the top 10 best-selling PlayStation Classics for the month were in order: Twisted Metal Black, Grand Theft Auto San Andreas, Bully, Metal Slug Anthology, Star Wars Bounty Hunter, Destroy All Humans 2, The Warriors, Grand Theft Auto, The Trilogy, The King of Fighters 2000, and Destroy All Humans. Number 5. Mass Effect Andromeda has an official release date. Now, it's weird here. I don't know what I was thinking.
What the fuck were you thinking?
Official website. That's not what I meant, though. I'm sure that's an official website. Developer BioWare and publisher EA will purportedly launch far sooner. New game, rather, will purportedly launch far sooner than you might think. March 21st in North America and March 23rd elsewhere in the world. So March 21st for Mass Effect Andromeda in these here United States.
Suck my face. Wrote into kindoffunny.com/PSQ just like you can to get your question on the air and says, "Hi, Greg and Colin. Love the show. With Mass Effect Andromeda set for a release in March of this year, I just wanted to ask you guys if you think I should go back and play the first 3 since I never did. I know, I'm embarrassed. I've been meaning for years, but I've just never gotten around to it. So with Andromeda so close to release, I'm starting to panic. It would be fun to play the first 3 before Andromeda, but there is still so much time that I need to spend with Resident Evil 7, Neo, For Honor, and Horizon Zero Dawn all coming up in the next few months. What should I do? Do you guys think it will be important to play the first games before the new one to understand the story? Or do you think it will be fine to play Andromeda without having played the first ones? Please help. Thanks. Love from Sweden. Suck my face. You should have played them a long time ago.
Yeah, I don't know. I think
you fucked up, son.
They're great games.
Exactly.
I think they're worth playing. And I don't know that you necessarily have to. I don't know that you would necessarily appreciate Andromeda fully.
That's the thing is I don't think it's going to be like, oh, you don't know Shepard or something like that. But I think it's going to be cool to see this N7 mission that was sent out, right? And have the background that we know of everything that happened there and who those characters were and what the whole progression was and how that series ends and what that means for you out there now doing it all over again in a new galaxy.
I concur.
There's going to be a lot of nods and a lot of cool things in there that you might not get. I would assume that you'd not get.
I also really feel that this trilogy is going to wrap back to the original one in some way. So, in some cursory way, maybe, but maybe some serious way. I think EA really fucked up by not releasing Mass Effect Trilogy on the new consoles. I don't understand quite why they didn't do that. I understand that that's Peter Moore's whole thing, where they're like, we don't want to do that, but that was stupid to not do that. Get people more excited for this game, especially this game that has some trepidation surrounding it.
I mean, it really seems like that's been us, though.
Well, no, I think it's been a lot of people that have been curious about what the fuck's going on with this game. I don't think it's just us, and I like their approach because first of all, people are like, well, it's going to get delayed. And I'm like, no, it's not. they wouldn't just release. This is literally 2 months away. They're not.
You're talking about since the announcement.
Yeah,
of the
exactly.
Yeah.
And the second thing is that I like that they've kept everything close to the vest, and you can only read a few things into it. Either, and I don't know what the right answer is. It's either that they're so confident in the game that they don't want to show you anything to spoil it or whatever, which is possible. The second thing is that the game was so muddled towards the middle and end of development that they didn't know what to show you, and they didn't realize that they were going to hit this date. And I think the third most likely thing is that they're just. I honestly think EA wants to put this out somewhat silently, and not make the big deal about it that they made out of Mass Effect 2, especially, and Mass Effect 3, in order to gain back, I think, some of that trepidation surrounding the game and be like, we'll just show you. And then the word will spread.
I mean,
the original Mass Effect was big, but it was not this phenomenon that it was with 2 and especially 3. Yeah. I remember I wrote the guides for all 3 of those games. People liked Mass Effect, people were excited about it, but it wasn't this major jump until 2. And I expect that they might be following the same trend now with Andromeda 2. You assume 2.5 years.
I mean, it'd be awesome if that's how it's all the best case scenario, and it is just like, no, we know this is gonna sell. We don't need to go out and promote it. We don't need to do these giant preview events. We don't need to show you everything. You're gonna buy it. We're gonna put it out, and it's gonna be awesome. And if that's the case, we get that fucking thing in March, and it's amazing. That's gonna be one of the biggest success stories in quite some time for EA. I think
we shall see. We shall see.
We shall.
Number 6, Injustice 2, NetherRealm Studios' follow-up to the mega popular fighter Injustice, finally has a release date. WB confirmed the release date earlier, teased by NetherRealm's Ed Boon. The date is May 16th, 2017. So Injustice 2, May 16th.
Good.
Number 7, this is a weird one.
Fighting.
Polygon has pointed out a rather interesting factoid. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles: Mutants in Manhattan, the game released not even a year ago by Platinum Games and published by Activision, has been pulled from all digital storefronts, including PlayStation Store. The game is still available to purchase at retail, however, at least for the time being. While it's currently unknown why the game has disappeared after only 7 or so months on the market, Polygon speculates that the culprit could be license-related, similar to problems Activision published games from Spider-Man to Deadpool, also in card. This is a weird one. This comes on top of, I don't think this has anything to do with Platinum. TMNT, by all accounts, was not a very good game. But Platinum is just falling off a fucking cliff. Sure. Now, this is happening at the same time that Nier Automata which is going to, they're doing with Square Enix for PS4 and PC, is getting a lot of buzz with its very positive demo. But today, it's not on our news, but Scalebound is canceled now for Xbox One, which was the big open world.
Oh, he wears headphones and he's got a dragon.
And it's a Kamiya game too. So it's really their top team making this game, and Microsoft just pulled the plug on it. It was announced over 2 years ago. It was in development for obviously longer than that. And I don't know what's going on over at Platinum, and it's something I kind of want to investigate. Colin was right, and I might do that in the coming weeks. But I just thought that was an interesting story that they're just pulling this game. It's worth noting that games do disappear off of digital storefronts and then return when the licensing happens, and that Activision is typically at the center of this because they're the ones making these big licensed games. But
an interesting thing to float out there is the last time I remember this happening with Activision and them having these games pulled was when all the Marvel games came down, because Marvel their licenses were up and then they got acquired by Disney. So if Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles gets bought by Disney, you heard it here first.
Anything's possible. That's enough.
All things are possible.
I was kind of disappointed about that because I knew it wasn't very good, but I kind of wanted to play it.
Did you not? You never had it? I got you a code for that a long time ago.
Maybe I do have a code.
You have that redeemed, I'm sure.
Number 8. Rhyme, the puzzle adventure game that was previously a PlayStation 4 exclusive before being suddenly dropped by Sony, an extremely rare move, has been re-revealed as promised. IGN has a scoop on the game describing it as, quote, a single-player puzzle adventure about discovery experienced through the eyes of a young boy who awakens on a mysterious island after shipwrecking off its coast. Players must navigate the island's secrets by making use of light, sound, perspective, and even time. Inspired by the rugged, sun-baked terrain of the Mediterranean coast, Rhyme paints its breathtaking world with a fusion of vibrant colors and moving musical undertones to set the stage for the deeply personal journey that awaits within, end quote. It was back in March of 2016 that developer Tequila Works revealed that it received the game's IP back from Sony, and later in the year, the developer revealed the game's publisher and its release year, which would be 2017. All still seems to be on track for that release year, though we'll have to wait and see. IGN should have more information on the game throughout this month. The game is no longer PS4 exclusive, however, as it will launch on Xbox One and Nintendo Switch as well.
Lord Vader, Rhyme.
And some interesting anecdotal stuff going on about that game earlier last year. People might remember we talked about it on the show, but you can go read about it, about how the Sony might have actually just gone to Tequila Works and just took all the debugs back.
Yeah. You're done.
I have no promise that game is going to be any good, but we'll find out. Sony doesn't typically drop games unless they're going to be mediocre. And again, the last time I can remember them doing this openly was with Remember Me, which people would remember was supposed to be a PlayStation 3 exclusive that Capcom then came in and saved. And thank God they did, because Don't Nod would have lost everything, and then Don't Nod would have never made Life is Strange, which is a very big game for them.
I don't want to live in that alternate history.
Number 9. Is an updated version of the original Shenmue coming? Seems so if TSSZnews.com's discovery of some Sega-owned internet domains is any indication. The website learned that Sega Europe registered the domain shenmuehd.com. Twitter user SegaBits then added that Sega Europe has also secured the misspelled domain shemnewgame.com, as well as the rather telling shenmuremastered.com. Sega has yet to comment on the existence of this game. It seems like it's pretty obvious, but we'll see.
You'd think so, right? It got a lot of buzz when they put out the Kickstarter or whatever at
Shenmue 3.
PSX.
And the wrap-up, number 10. Firewatch, the narrative-based adventure game, also known as a walking simulator, has officially surpassed 1 million units sold across all platforms, including PlayStation 4.
Congratulations, guys.
Slightly Mad Studios, the team behind Project Cars, revealed that Project Cars 2 is slated to come out September-ish of 2017. Disney Infinity may be no more, but Disney had originally planned to continue the series at least through the launch of Star Wars Rogue One spin-off. Kotaku spoke to a source that indicates multiple figures were coming to Disney Infinity 3.0. That development of the game portion at developer Ninja Theory was still early, but that the work on the toys was just about done. And there's some pictures that Kotaku you guys can check out as well. So that is it for the news. I'm going to go poop.
Okay. Hey, everybody. It's me, Greg Miller. How are you? No, that's not how... Is that how the show... Is that how the show's ever been run? Where we cut when somebody walks away? It's me, Greg. Pleasure to be here with you. Usually I got to go deal with the waterman, but now it's Colin dealing with a different kind of waterman. The toilet bowl waterman. That's not a thing. What do you mean it's not a thing, Kevin? If we make it a thing, it's a fucking thing. I can do whatever I want, Kevin. Time you understood that. Let's see if there's a question in here. Here we go. I'll jump into this one, all right? If you want your question read on PS I Love You XOXO, you can go to kindafunny.com/PSQ, the Q's for questions, just like Luke at Me did. Luke at Me. Luke at Me says, hey guys, it's just me. Colin's pooping. I'm about to jump into the Metal Gear saga and was hoping for some advice from an expert like Greg. What order should I play the games in, and which ones can I watch on YouTube? I have had Metal Gear Solid 4 forever, and I'm about to finally buy 5. Also, do I need to play Revengeance or any of the other spin-offs? Thanks, Luke. P.S. I love the show. P.S. I love you, Luke. So, first off, what can I watch on YouTube? You could watch it all on YouTube. Don't you want to experience this? What are you doing? Watch it all on YouTube. I'm going to tell you right now, play them in the order they are released. Period. Full stop. The problem is if you start jumping around, you're like, all right, cool. I'm going to go play Metal Gear Solid 3, and then I'll play Peace Walker, and then I'll play Metal Gear 1 or 5, you know what I mean? But I'm jumping ahead there. Basically, I'm saying if you get to Metal Gear Solid 1 after playing more recent ones, you're going to be like, holy shit, does this game suck? Because it obviously controls like a PlayStation 1 game did. Now, you could go play Twin Snakes. We had this argument, of course, on the Kinda Funny Games cast. Twin Snakes, I think, breaks it with the first-person mode, but still really fun, still really enjoyable, and it feels more modern. So if you want to do that, I'll allow it. But I think you should go play them in order that they're released on their original platforms. I'm saying, you can play obviously you play the PS1 version on your PSP or whatever. Now, play them in order. Go that way. So you want to go with the one. Well, and then I mean, God, do you want to jump in? I don't think you need to go full on crazy and go back and play Metal Gear, the MGX/NES one, right, Kev? You don't need to do that. That you don't need to worry about. You maybe read that one on Wikipedia if you want. It's just an old 8-bit game. You don't have to worry too much about it. But if you want to go balls out, go ahead and get the Metal Gear Solid 3. What was it? Subsistence, was it, right? Or because there was Metal Gear Solid 2 Subsistence and there was 3 Subsistence. Anyways.
No, it was something else.
Then get out of my fucking head while I'm talking, Kevin.
Oh, we're talking together.
We're not. They can't hear you because as always, your mic's off and you're leaning away from your thing and you just think you do it. You're a piece of garbage. You could do it that way. I don't think you need to. IMO. So go do that. Play through. Now, do you need to play the spin-offs? Fuck no. No, but are we talking about the right spin-offs here? I'm talking about Portable Ops. I'm talking about Acid. I'm talking about Revengeance. No, you don't need to play those. What, Kevin? If you're gonna get involved, Kevin, you gotta lean into your microphone. Peace Walker, of course, not a spin-off. You need to play that one. That is very important to what will happen in Ground Zeroes, what will happen in Metal Gear Solid 5. If you go in there, you don't know who Chico is. You don't know who Paz is. You don't know Dr. Strangelove. Actually, you probably don't need to know Dr. Strangelove. Not that important. But Chico, Paz, incredibly important. See what I'm saying here? This is the problem. So you got to stick it out. And you got to do that one. I don't know. I've had Metal Gear Solid 4 forever, and I'm about to buy 5. Why are you buying 5 if you haven't played any of the other ones yet? Is 5 on sale right now? Because then I would understand, but I don't think it is. But here's what I want you to do. I want you to play them. I want you to play them in the order they were released. I want you to tell us which version of Metal Gear Solid 1 you're playing as well. A lot of people hate Twin Snakes. I don't hate Twin Snakes. Don't think it's as good as the original, but of course the original has a special place in my heart. Just putting it out there. Rob Paulson, Gray Fox in Twin Snakes. In Twin Snakes. I don't think he is in the original. Google that for me, Kev. Pretty sure I'm right on that one, though. Are you Googling or are you just still swiping on your thing there? It doesn't look like you're Googling. I know Rob Paulson is Gray Fox in Twin Snakes.
You know that like video games, like what look at it, IMDb? Where you want me to look at this?
You could do that. You could put Rob Paulson, Gray Fox, and see what hits up. I mean, it's very simple. Google kind of fills in the gaps for you. You don't have to worry so much. Oh, my life is so hard. I'm Kevin Coelho. So yeah, do that. Everybody let me know if I gave him the right advice over at kindoffunny.com/PSQ. The Q's for questions. This is PS I Love You, XOXO. Kevin, what have you been playing lately?
Nothing. I actually just got my PS4 back.
Yeah?
I guess I played...
You played VR stuff, I saw.
Yeah, I played like maybe 30 minutes of... what's the game for VR? The Drive Club.
Yeah.
Drive Club VR. Fuck, man. I'm not a big fan of Drive Club VR. Like the Drive Club games.
Oh, okay.
Project Cars.
Yeah.
Much better.
Yeah. But you enjoyed what
Gran
you did in Drive
Turismo.
Club.
So good.
Yeah.
Yeah. I can't wait for Gran Turismo Sport because that's going to have a VR component.
Yeah.
Yeah, but Jesus, it's so much fun. Very uncomfortable. Like I have the wheel.
Yeah.
Very uncomfortable. I had it on a little like nightstand and like you couldn't turn too fast.
Because it would knock the nightstand over?
Exactly. But what an experience.
If only we had a sled for you.
Yeah, if only.
If only. I sent that email today, don't worry. You keep looking. I want to know Rob Paulson, Gray Fox. I know for sure Twin Snakes. And I said for sure, just thinking I know that. Mastodon.
Eagles.
Huh?
Greg Eagles was the other.
In the original.
Yeah.
And Paulson is Gray Fox in Twin Snakes.
Yeah.
Just making sure. Nailed it. There you go. Greg Eagles.
Didn't actually look at it.
What's that part?
Huh?
What'd you say there?
Nothing.
I said it right, though. Greg Eagles, Metal Gear Solid 1. All right, cool. Next question comes from Mastodon23 over at kindoffunny/PSQ. He says, what's up, Colin and Greg? Wait for Greg to respond or not. And then he uses the emoticon of me freaking out because no one's ever said that. It's always wait for Colin. How'd that go?
Oh, man.
You winded?
A little bit.
Took it out of you?
It was one of those, Kevin, get on the mic real quick. It was one of those poops that no matter how much you wipe,
I hate those.
it takes so much effort to make sure that
God, it's awful.
you're clean. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
The one where it's kind of like a soft serve kind of texture to it.
We know that one. Yeah.
And then you got to use a lot of toilet paper. And no matter, you feel like, because you wipe your butt once or twice a day your whole life, right?
Yeah.
And you feel like you really know yourself well enough to be like, it's kind of close. And I usually go 1 or 2 extra wipes with clean, the toilet paper is clean. And I'm like, all right, we're good to go. But this is one of the ones where you think you're done. And then you go back in, and no matter how deep you go inside the anus with the toilet paper, it just doesn't stop.
Now, have you started at all moving into these wet naps thing? The Matt Scarpino
I like
baby
them.
wipes.
When they're available, I will use them.
Yeah.
Did you want me to order them for the office?
Yeah, sure.
That'll be fantastic.
Yeah, we should get those. Yeah, for sure.
Thank you,
We
Kevin.
can't flush them, though. We'll have to use a little trash can.
Well, so my mom had ones at her house when I was there for Thanksgiving that are flushable.
Oh, okay.
I don't trust it, though. I feel like those are, no matter what, it's going to fuck up your toilet.
Well, that's why we got the water, man.
Do we got a plunger? If we own a plunger...
I don't think we own a plunger in there, but you can order that, too, when you order the wet naps. Or you know what I mean? The butt wipes.
So, I mean, I feel a lot lighter. I feel a lot better now.
I'm glad.
We're a little rumble in the tummy. Because I forgot when I was in an Uber on the way here, I had them stop at Grubbin on the way so I can get a sandwich. Then
that Grubbin
over
sauce.
at Taraval, and then I came down
Now,
here.
did you have the Uber wait, or did you end the trip?
No,
there
I
and
ended
start
the
another
trip, and then, which was, I could have called it in and probably kind of timed it, but
Yeah.
I feel like when I have
Too
an
many
Uber
moving
driver,
parts.
but then sometimes Uber driver doesn't like waiting.
No.
They get a little upset about that.
Yeah. Like they got somewhere else to be.
Yeah.
You're fucking driving. Calm down.
So
Chief.
I called another one from Taraval to have him bring me here.
Real quick, I'll finish Mastodon 23's question here. He says, what happened to the donation of PlayStation Vitas that people weren't using? I'd like one, thanks. Mastodon 23, you're a piece of shit. Just like a whole bunch of you that claim to be fans, but you're all fake fucking fans. because I tweeted out, hey, we got our first 3 Vita relocation things. I showed a picture of the Vitas, and they was like, oh, how do I get one? How are you ignoring kindafunny.com/Vita relocation program? There is an awesome video about it on kindafunny.com. There is a website about it. If you want one of these, get in the fucking back of line, because a bunch of people didn't screw it up, and they went to kindafunny.com/Vita relocation program, where they put their name on the roster to get these Vitas. Now, the rest of you, are you fucking kidding me? #1 PlayStation podcast in the world, only 3 Vitas have been sent? And a lot of you were responding on Twitter when I put up the original video saying, hey, this is dumb. Why would I send this in if I could trade it in for money at GameStop? Here's my response. Why the fuck haven't you? The Vita relocation program stems from the fact so many people were like, hey, I have this Vita collecting dust. Lol, no games on the Vita. And then we're over here saying the Vita's fucking awesome and it's got a lot of great games. So you're all fucking hypocrites. If your Vita is in a drawer right now gathering dust, either sell it off and fucking be a person of your word, or send it in and help people and try to redeem your fucking soul before Lola shows up, bites your jugular, and fucking Shuhei sends you to Vita Hell.
We haven't even told you about Vita Hell yet. That's in season 3 of PS I Love You XOXO.
Kindafunny.com/Vita relocation program.
When you find Lola on a hatch in the ground on a desert island. Hey, quick shout out, by the way.
Yeah.
TV show wise.
Yeah.
Just one more time. That show Colony.
You're still liking
everyone got to be watching that show. The other thing, watched about half of Westworld now.
Okay.
Very intrigued.
See, now you actually had a good game response, so I didn't get into it. I thought originally when we were talking about being in the right mood from It's That Dave in the beginning of the show, Westworld is one I thought might come up as not a game, but a TV show. Because you started it, you weren't into it, but you kept saying, maybe I wasn't in the right mindset.
Well, it's one of those things where, listen, sometimes people are wrong. Right? Everyone liked Breaking Bad, and that show was terrible. But typically when a show wins a lot of awards, has a lot of accolades, there's got to be a reason for it, right? And I said that thing about Breaking Bad just to annoy you, by the way, and I know you're very annoyed. Not you.
Me?
No, not just that, but
okay.
a lot of people out there. I don't like Breaking Bad. No, I don't. But Westworld's got such accolades. It's like Game of Thrones, right? Like I've fallen off of Game of Thrones, but I would never did because I'm just like I don't know what the fuck's even going on anymore. And I don't think George Martin even has any idea.
It finally caught up to real time.
But so now it's in 2017. Yeah. It's interesting. But when a show gets enough accolades, there's got to be some sort of reason. Where there's smoke, there's fire. You know what I mean? Mad Men's one of the great shows of all time. It got accolades in the Emmys and the Golden Globes, wherever it was, every fucking year. Of course it did, because it's fucking awesome. The same with Veep, the same with all these shows that are great right now. So I like it. It's interesting. I feel like I know where it's going. By the way, Colony, I think I also know where it's going.
Okay.
We're good. Thank you.
Back to you, Colin. Did we finish the news?
The news is done.
All right, cool. I'm excited for Mass Effect Andromeda, but that's a ways out. If I want to know what was in mom and grop shops digitally and brick and mortar, where would I go?
Let me tell you something else about the toilet paper we have real quick.
Yeah, sure.
It's great.
Oh.
Is it Angel Soft?
No.
Use your microphone. You're getting involved here. What? I'm sorry, Kevin. It's so hard for you not to ruin a show.
No, I said no.
Yeah, but I can tell you were warm up to say something else.
No, I was thinking, what is it? I'm going to go find out.
And that's exactly what I know. Here's the thing about Kevin. Kevin is probably a 1975 Ford pickup truck parked in front of a house in fucking Nebraska, and it's January 14th. It's freezing. You got to get out there. You got to turn the car on and let it warm up. So when I see him say no, that's him turning on the engine, and then I see it all. I see the smoke, the exhaust coming out the back. I see fucking Paul out there scraping the ice off the window. They know he's trying. He's about to try to do something, but we got to give him a second to be warmed up.
Right.
So don't come over here acting
You're a
like
little slow, Kevin?
He's just warming up. It's different.
Quilted Northern,
huh? Because I go with the Angel Soft delivered, and I got to be honest with you, I got the paper towels delivered over the break to the house. Bounty was our typical go-to. Mm-hmm. Brawny I went with, but I'm a little disappointed in the Brawny specifically because I don't feel like I'm getting as much yardage out of each roll that I was getting out of the Bounty.
Okay.
Because
I like it when you get the paper towels and you got to really fucking fight them into the thing. You put the roll in there, and this roll.
The Kirkland ones are the ones that.
Oh yeah, Kirkland. Nobody's fucking with. Come on, you get those. You pick that bitch up. You got to take a few off before you put it on the goddamn thing.
Do you think paper towels would have any value in the apocalypse? If I had a warehouse full of paper towels, could I trade that for salt or beef jerky or something of this nature?
Yeah, but I think you're gonna have to be given a lot of paper towels.
Could it be
for
kindling?
That stuff? It could be. Oh, totally. But nobody would use it for that. It'd be more for cleaning yourself.
Just to get a fire going or whatever. You can kind of get it lit and then just kind of. Like, what use would paper towels have in the apocalypse?
I mean, absorbing stuff.
No, like the fanciest of fancy, you know, like the kingpins, the people who are ruling things, they're wiping their ass with paper towels.
Oh, okay.
You know?
That's fair
Toilet paper's going to go fast. Paper towels, close second.
Sure.
We'd move to reusable toilet paper, wouldn't we? Reusable toilet paper.
You could use rags and then go to the water and just...
Your kid grows out of their clothes, you start using it as shit paper, and then you go and you clean it up. You wash it in the thing.
I would just scrub my... You know, sometimes I like pooping and just getting right into the shower.
No.
Yes. Yes.
You don't actually do that.
Yeah, sometimes if it's a little messy.
That sounds 100% correct. You don't do this sometimes?
No, I've never
Not if it's a messy thing, but what you're talking about is like when you're cleaning your butt and you want it to be spick and span, you're in there, you're doing stuff, you're addressing the situation. If I want to get a shower, it's one wipe in there and I don't care.
I mean, if I had... Well, that's...
I'm going to take care of this in a second.
Right, exactly. But what I'm saying is like, you know, you poop and you're like... And you have a feeling in your mind, this is not going to be any good. And then you wipe and you're like, oh no.
This is
And
not
you just have to
good,
take...
yeah.
And you just immediately take your clothes off and just get right
How
in the shower.
refreshing is it though to wipe your butt and you look at the toilet paper and it's just clean? You're like, man, that's awesome.
I
Why
like
can't
a
they
good,
all be
I like a good
this?
clean poop. I find it a little unsatisfactory as well. I mean,
Sure.
it's part of the process. But yeah, there are times... The most disappointing thing is when you take a shower and then you poop.
Yeah, you fucked it all up. Yeah.
And once in a while when you poop when you're taking a shower.
Smashing it down the drain. What's happening in the mom and grab shot?
Arcade Archives Neo Geo Fatal Fury comes to PlayStation 4 digital. This is a Thursday release. Fatal Fury is a fighting game launched in 1991 by SNK. Players take part in brutal street fights in a variety of locations with the goal of topping the infamous crime lord, Geese Howard.
Oh, Geese Howard's a bitch.
The game included very unique features when compared to other fighting games available at the time, including a special line battle system that allowed players to traverse between the foreground and background. Not exactly a new feature of side-scrolling brawlers in 1991, but thank you. As Divine Hearts, which I think looks pretty interesting, comes to PlayStation 4, PlayStation 3, and PlayStation Vita digital. It says 1 year ago, the world of As Divine was enveloped by a brilliant flash of light. Since that time, the influence of Shadow has continued to grow ever more powerful across the face of the land. As Divine Hearts boasts plenty of subquests, a battle arena, treasure to dig for, and an enemy guide to complete. How far can you level and how many millions of damage points can you dish out? Now, it's that last sentence that really bothers me. I hate the millions. I hate that shit,
It sounds
man.
like Disgaea, right?
Why? Just divide it by a number and make all of the hit points fewer. That's what I loved about Dragon Quest. When you start playing Dragon Quest, you do like 7 damage to enemies. I'm like, yes, that's perfect. Thank you. Millions of damage. Who gives a shit? Hatsune Miku, I think that's how you say it. Project Diva Future Tone comes to PlayStation 4 digital. Explore the infinite world of Hatsune Miku through the most comprehensive Project Diva game ever released. Hatsune Miku Project Diva Future Tone Prelude. I'm sorry, it's Prelude. Comes with 2 songs and modules to customize. To unlock the full potential of Future Tone, purchase 2 packs bursting with 220 songs, Future Sound, and Colorful Tone.
Oh, you gonna buy those?
There's not a fucking prayer in hell of me buying that. Life of Black Tiger comes to PlayStation 4. It's digital and it's a Thursday release.
We've just run out of titles. They're just going to random title generators now.
Wait until you hear the next one.
What is this one? Project Black Tiger?
Yeah, just wait until you hear the next one, though. The next one's even better.
Jesus.
Life of Black Tiger. The story of a black tiger born as a variant and abandoned by his parents and brothers fights against human and shows his love to his family. You can have a vivid and realistic experience set in jungle, field, and forest. Acting as a cruel hunter in the vast plains and fields, players are thrown into a fight against human beings and other beasts of prey. Yikes.
Project Black Tiger.
No. Life of Black Tiger.
Okay.
Planet 2000 comes to PlayStation 4 digital. This is a Friday release. Experience futuristic vehicular combat in this fast-paced strategy game. Assemble your team from a crew of fully realized AI companions. As you take part in epic land battles, your objective is to destroy the enemy's base before they destroy yours. Now look at the art. Look at this woman in the art.
What the fuck? You want to skycam it? You're not. It's gonna be really hard. Go ahead and try it. This is just a photo of a fucking woman. She's just not even. She's in a black tank top. Photo of a woman, and they just the opacity. They just dialed down the What does that have to do with anything? I gotta play this game now to see if she's in it.
Planet 2000. Sounds like a PS1 game. Great. Spheroids comes to PlayStation 4 and PlayStation Vita. It's digital and it is cross-buy. In Spheroids, you take control of Lucas, a jumpy Canadian boy who sets out on an adventure with his crazy scientist companion Otto after it's discovered that the government has been hiding alternate universes from the cubic world they live in. That is a long sentence, guys. Unfortunately, these alternative universes contain spheres that wish to turn everything round. So it's up to Lucas to save the world from these dangerous aliens, the Spheroids.
Now, is it a long sentence? Yes. But did it make sense at least? It also
made
did.
sense.
So
But,
come on now.
But also understand
we're grading on a curve in the drop.
That's true. That's basically War and Peace when it comes to the drop. So we appreciate you. That's basically a Dickens fucking work of compared to the write up for Black Tiger Man.
Life of Black Tiger. Go ahead and read that again, just so they understand where we're going from.
The story of Black Tiger. The story of a black tiger born as a variant and abandoned by his parents and brothers fights against human and shows his love.
Against human is all it says.
And shows his love to his family. You can have a vivid and realistic experience set in jungle, field, and forest. Acting as a cruel hunter in the vast plains and fields, players are thrown into a fight against human beings and other beasts of prey. Silvio comes to PlayStation 4 Digital. It's out on Friday. Silvio is a psychological horror game set in a tranquil, disturbing atmosphere. Ghost recorder Juliet Waters trespasses into an abandoned family park shut down since a landslide in 1971. The voices of the deceased captured on her reel-to-reel recorder reveals a tale of an evil curse and a wicked family cult currently living in the park.
That sounds interesting. What was it called again?
Silvio. Sylvio. And Xenoraid is the final game. It is on Vita, and it is digital. Xenoraid is an intense scrolling shoot-'em-up with dynamic combat. Classic action gameplay with modern features like procedurally driven missions, fighter switching, and squadron management make Xenoraid a fresh and thrilling shooter. And that is it for the week. Pick of the week, gotta be Planet 2000.
I was gonna say it's gotta be Life of Black Tiger.
Life of Black Tiger.
Gotta see what's up with there, and then I will play Planet 2000 to see where this woman is evolved. If she's not in the very beginning as like a Zordon telling me what the hell's going on, not gonna like it. Colin?
Yeah.
Time for Talk with the Show. This topic of the show comes from kindoffunny.com/PSQ, where Javier Bonet 1027 wrote in and says, "Greetings, Greg and Colin. Why is sexual content a sensitive subject for people in video games? When Watch Dogs 2, two guys were banned for posting a nude woman from the waist down. We are desensitized to killing in games and has become a standard in many shooters and other genres, but why is sex such a big deal? God of War, Dante's Inferno, and Heavy Rain all have nudity. We're all here because people had sex, but as soon as it's in a game, people freak out. Also, the sexual content in games isn't anywhere near as graphic as porn. Seeing as this will be read on the episode 69, I figured this topic would be right. I'd love to have your thoughts. Thank you for all, and I wish you guys the best in 2017. Javier from Florida." Now, sexual content is broad. I think when he's talking about, for Watch Dogs, posting a nude woman from the waist down. Interesting question, because of course the thing was that it was rendered a vagina. It wasn't like, hey, we're looking and there's no underwear and they're like Jessica Rabbit or something in this Disney flick, right? It's that, no, somebody went in there and actually put a vagina in there. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, Colin. The hullabaloo there is the fact that that wasn't reported to the ESRB because a designer hid that in there, or fucked around, was joking around, probably, most likely. And that's the real crux of the problem there. Also, the fact that that's not the kind of game Ubisoft is making. Because when I think about that, when he brings it up, I'm like, yeah, it's a good question. And like, oh, wait, why is it such a big deal that this woman's genitals were shorn when in the Order 1886, I got this guy's fucking dick flopping around. And in, Ballad of Gay Tony, there's this dick flopping around. There's dicks in games. I'm used to the dicks. Why would the vagina be such a big deal? But I think it's just the fact of this wasn't reported correctly, and that's why it's a big deal.
And also, we're scared of vaginas.
We are scared of vaginas. No one knows what's going on inside.
I have no evidence to presume that they even exist. No, I think, I think on a more deeper and philosophical level, I feel like, and I've talked about this many times, I think, on the show and certainly in my personal life, I feel like sexual content doesn't often add anything to games and add anything to movies or TV shows. I actually find sex scenes, let's say sex scenes per se, as generally unnecessary filler that doesn't advance any sort of plot. And we've talked about this, I think, pretty extensively on some show. I remember talking about.
I think it's GOG where we talked about it being in TV shows.
Yeah, like I think sexuality is important. We all have a sexual side to us. I'm certainly, you're
a beast.
I'm a beast
Yeah.
In the bedroom, but I find it quite cringeworthy, even when it's hot. I mean, watching that kind of stuff can be hot, but I find it quite cringeworthy and unnecessary when I see it in a lot of I like the more I like it referenced as opposed to, or just shown in some sort of shown in some sort of passing way, as opposed to like 5-minute sex scene. I'm like, what is the point of showing this? It's like when you see someone shot in a movie, you typically don't see the bullet go through their head and then them fall. I mean, sometimes you do, but fall to the ground, the blood ekes out of them. Like, you just see a person shot.
Yeah,
and you know that the guy's fucking dead.
Yeah,
it's the same kind of thing. It's like, we don't need to see all this.
I feel like
we
for
get
the most
point.
part, what you're talking about is, especially when we're talking about the 80s, right? Go watch Terminator. And the Kyle Reese, Sarah Connor sex scene goes on way too long. And even Time Cop, when Jean-Claude Van Damme fucks the girl from Ferris Bueller's Day Off, his wife in the movie. It's just like, man, this is going on in a very awkwardly long time, which is weird to watch with my parents. You know what I mean? It's one of those things where I think that nowadays, for the most part, similar to what you're saying with the bullet going through the head, for the most part, they don't linger on that unless that's the crux of the issue. You know what I mean? In terms of, it's like 50 Shades of Grey or something. If that's the whole point, then maybe they're going to linger on it. Whereas now it is, hopefully, a camera pan to the side and this, that, and the other, and you understand what's happening. Because who the fuck does need to see people going at it? Being
right.
Weird?
I mean, it really is a similar thing. It's like the idea of two people having sex in a show or in a movie or in a game could be like, these two people love each other and look how passionate they are. And it's like, okay, like, I actually think Telltale Batman did a pretty nice job.
Hell yeah, really good job
with Bruce Wayne and
Selena Kyle.
I don't know if that's a spoiler, but
Fuck you should have played it by now.
But I think they did a really nice job of it because it alludes to a situation with them and attention to them. But it's the same thing of like saying like because people would say, and I've had a conversation with people where they're like, it shows their passion for each other. It shows, and I'm like, but we get it. Just like when the bullet goes through the guy's head, the guy murdered him. We get it. We don't need to see every gratuitous detail of the death. We don't need to see every passionate detail of the sex. And get to the narrative and the dialogue, which advances stories. You know?
That was the thing with the Batman in particular, the Telltale's Batman, right? And yeah, I guess minor spoilers, but you could have made different choices. But leaving the club after the fight with her, when we're fighting the other people in episode 2, I always tell a story of getting out there and being like, that was fucking awesome. Wow, was I as role-playing Bruce Wayne and that, making all my choices, we were so connected or whatever. And so when it says, do you want to kiss her, I lean in to kiss her. And then to get to the moment, where they hook up in her apartment, if you go that way, I thought it was 20 times more sexy to for a quick kiss, and then her to be like, "You gonna help me with this thing?" Unzip her costume a little bit, and then go to the bedroom, and that's it. Like, I don't need to see them these like two models like mashing together.
You didn't get in your decision. You didn't get when Bruce Wayne took his balls and just plopped them right on her forehead. I thought that was so.
This dick isn't gonna suck itself,
sexual,
Catwoman.
And it advanced the plot so much when you heard the balls hitting hitting their forehead.
Well, it's funny too because he brings up there's blah 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 blah. Why is sex such a big deal? God of War, Dante's Inferno, and Heavy Rain all have nudity. Heavy Rain has a sex scene in it if you go that way with Madison Page, which I did, let me tell you, because I liked Madison so much and I wanted to see them together. But again, that was one I remember at the time even was walking that line of being awkward because those models weren't meant for that. And so it is that like awkward thing of the models being on top of each other. But then it did do the fade away, and it's like not like there wasn't a choice that popped up in Ethan's head of like be on top, missionary, leave.
Well, that's what I was gonna say. It seems like
condom.
It seems like a quantum dream. It's like like if it's like grab own dick, grab her boobs.
Pull out, triangle.
Yeah. Maybe a little more sense in those games, but yeah, no. I think people are sensitive. I think so. It's a juxtaposition of I think that society has over-sexualized itself to a large extent. And I know that sounds like kind of prudish to a lot of people, but I just think that sexuality is just way overplayed. I think it makes people feel bad about themselves, and I think it's a private thing that people experience in their own ways. But that is juxtaposed against the idea that we also have made sex into a taboo, which brings us into things like this, but it is nowhere near as bad as it was 10, 20, 30,
and this is
50,
the whole argument too,
ago.
Of course, that when we talk about European cultures, right, where sex and nudity for them, not nearly a big deal. That's on TV, no big deal. But violence is such a huge issue.
Right.
And so I think this is a uniquely American problem to have too, in terms of how this goes, but then affects the video game industry because we're so many games.
Right. It's kind of like in the United States how we like work hard and do a lot, and they vacation for 6 months a year.
Exactly.
It's just one of those things that is very
smoke
different.
Breaks, their wine in France. They ain't working. They ain't putting a full
They go home for lunch.
Yeah, exactly. They go home, bake a baguette, put on their little beret.
The great French tradition of baking your own baguette out for lunch. It's very time consuming, but
that's what they do, man.
They believe in that.
But no,
kneading the dough.
I think part of this whole argument too is the fact that games, for better or worse, and where we are now, still stem from being a toy and being for children. And violence getting more and more graphic obviously has been a touchstone and a problem when you talk about GTA and Jack Thompson and all these different things and, having to go to Congress and stuff. But violence in video games has always been there, right? Whether it is Mario stomping on a mushroom or whatever. What do you call them? Goombas?
It's a
whatever.
Goomba. Yeah.
Dorks. When it's that or to that, but Mario wasn't fucking the princess. You know what I mean? That wasn't happening.
He didn't have the confidence.
I know. The mushrooms couldn't get him big enough to do that.
Also, the princess in the original Super Mario Brothers looks like she's missing a chromosome, so Mario might have been taken aback.
Whoa. There's a comic about that, right? Where he's like, whoa, and she's like, what did you expect me to look like? Maybe that was actually... Was that Altano and Drucker at Up at Noon? I don't know, whatever. I know there's been jokes about it. But I think, part of it is the DNA that's fine. But I think there is, every time you see somebody, an older person, flip out about video games, it's because they think about a kid playing it. So having these sexual experiences and stuff, it's going to take time.
Why are her lips so big?
She's always ready to kiss.
She has her lips are the size of half of her face.
Hey, you know what? Miyamoto is busy, all right? He's making a whole game. He ain't got time to sit there.
Mario heard rumors that this hot princess with dick sucking lips needed rescuing.
DSLs?
But he didn't realize that they were going to absorb his whole body when he met her, so they had to redesign her.
Oh,
Too sweet. It's a weird episode.
It is a weird episode. But yeah, sex is sex, and I think it's one of those things that's weird until we're over the Uncanny Valley thing, and I don't think that the Watch Dogs thing is exactly the same either, because in the Watch Dogs, I thought it was actually cool in terms of there's sex in this, but not in a big way of Marcus wakes up after that party in bed with another woman, right? Or in her house or in his underwear or whatever. So it is this whole thing of they hooked up last night, but we didn't make a big deal about this and that wasn't central to who it is. You can infer what happened here and keep moving.
Sure.
Yeah. What's happening in Trophy Time?
Nothing really. I have one game pulled up, but God, man, it's been slow on PSN profiles. If you go, and XO Phase is similar. If you go,
kept looking for the Gravity Rush too.
Yeah, nothing's popping yet. Gravity Rush's trophies aren't up. Resident Evil's trophies aren't up. There's really nothing happening. So, but Tales of Berzeria's trophies are up, and these are actually were Japanese trophies that have been translated in American, so those are live on the server. 38 bronze, 10 silver, 2 gold, and 1 platinum. This is the only game we'll talk about today, and this is very similar to a lot of Tales platinums, where it seems like it's going to take a little bit of time, and by a little bit I mean a lot of. So there are trophies galore for doing certain things in the what seem like main mission things. So the first one you get is the Beast Uncaged. And as people that play Tales games know, they always talk about the proof of something. The trophy is the proof. So it's proof of escaping the island prison. And then there are things for getting specific arts, specific weapons, specific combos, etc., and so on. So this is going to be a pretty difficult trophy list to get if you want to do that, especially with the titles, which in Tales games are fucking annoying as hell to get.
What are the titles?
Titles are things that you attach to different characters. The Tales games are very customizable, so you can get a title as the Berserker or something, and it's you killed 50 people with your hands, or whatever, and now you get plus. But there's a shit ton of them traditionally. And there's skill-based ones, there's gold-based ones, there's side quest-based ones, etc., and so on. So you're going to have your hands full with this. But I'm very excited to start getting into this game, and we'll have more information soon. The embargo's not for a couple weeks, so I will not be able to talk about it until around the time it comes out. But you have just a few weeks to wait. Otherwise, there's nothing doing. I'll go back to the games one more time just to make sure nothing's been uploaded. Yeah, nothing. I mean, fuck, man. When we left, games when we left for break, games like Air Race Speed were uploaded, which is a Vita game. Since then, there's only been 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 games uploaded at all in the last 4 weeks or so.
The PlayStation Network's still waking up from break. We finally got Clements to get in here. Stop talking to his kid.
And Clements did reach out to us about the drop. Let us know that in case you're curious. I mean, we read from the drop today, so it still exists. It's now going up on Fridays instead of on Sundays.
That's good. That's a good idea. You shouldn't have to work all weekend, I
don't know that Ryan Clements works at all. So.
Good point. Wayne Jetski wrote into kindafunny.com/PSQ for Trophy Time and says, "Hey, Colin, I am writing to you specifically here because I have a game/trophy suggestion that you in particular simply must play in Platinum. The game? Portal 2. Before you understandably go running for the hills, I would like to mention a couple things that are crucial to know. Number 1, the game is dystopian in nature. Number 2, the Platinum is easy at 20 hours max with no missables. Number 3, you taught me the importance of gathering political news from sources that I may not necessarily agree with. Similarly, playing and platinuming this truly amazing game allows players a chance to fully embrace the challenge and experience one of the last and experience one of last generation's greatest games. Number 4, most importantly, the trophies are constructed beautifully. Thank you all for the hard work, each and every member of the team. Not enough words or dollars in the world could fully express how much your work means to me and so many others. Best, Wayne Jetski.
No, but I appreciate the recommendation nonetheless.
Unequivocally, no. I don't. It's funny because he said all that, and I was like, man, I played Portal 2. I loved Portal 2, but I never ever thought about platinuming Portal 2. No. So I went and looked at the trophies, and like, you get the co-op stuff at the bottom. You got to go back and do this. Get the cube here.
There's just no.
There's a time one of like, do this. I'm like,
no, that's not gonna happen. I will say though, I don't know if we ever because I know something's been going on in the trophy world with you specifically. We can't really discuss yet.
Oh right, yeah.
And I will say something similar now is happening to me as well on the trophy list. So. We might be affecting trophy lists,
changing things up
on a couple of games that are coming up.
They've heard the cries of our consulting.
Very exciting. I'll have more for that.
Yeah, me too.
Soon.
Another trophy time question here comes from Bioshocking the World. Hello, you lovely sacks of shit. I have a question for trophy time. Do you guys ever think about hitting 100 platinums? Does it matter to you if you do hit it or don't hit it? Do you think you will eventually get there? How confident are you in this milestone, or is it even a milestone to you guys at all? Thank you for all the gaming knowledge and laughs. P.S. I love you long time, and Colin, keep sucking that dick. Bioshocking the World.
I will.
You're at 59 now?
59 platinums.
And I'm at 50 flat. Is 100
technically 48 because you got the 2 IM Mayo platinums.
Sure. Well, I mean, no. Technically, I have the platinum trophy, so they're there. In terms of their quality, that's a completely different statement.
All right.
But you are the platinum hunter. You are the one who wants to platinum a whole bunch of games. Is 100 a milestone you want to hit?
Yeah, I think I could probably do it. It depends on how long PlayStation trophies stick around. I assume that we have a very long time still.
Yeah.
Onto the next console and so on and so forth. Yeah, I my whole thing is that I just don't go after easy trophies anymore, or I don't play games just to platinum them, and I try to enjoy getting trophies without necessarily focusing on the platinum itself. A good example of that is Battlefield 1, in which I got every single player trophy and a couple of the multiplayer trophies, but I knew full well I was never going to get the platinum, and I just wanted to get as many of them as possible. And Titanfall 2 is another example where I'm missing only one trophy.
Yeah,
but there's no way I'm getting that trophy. It's just so fucking obnoxious. It made me want to throw my TV out of the fucking window. So. I'm not going to lose any sleep over that. I probably should have more like 70 platinums, but there are a few games, there are a number of games where I'm like one off. Terminator,
sure.
Salvation was one of them. Godfather 2, I'm missing one, etc. and so on. But it's just not that important. I don't even really look the funny thing is that I don't ever look at my level, and I don't really ever look at my trophies. I just look at the trophies I'm getting now. I never go back and admire the trophies I already got. I just like getting them.
Sure.
And so. Yeah, I think that's an achievable kind of thing. Number 60, I don't know what that's going to be yet. But another good example of what I'm talking about is Tomb Raider. I don't think I'm going to platinum that game, but I'm just trying to get as many of the trophies as possible. One thing that I am focusing on in a major way the last 6 months or so, and continue to focus on, is my overall completion rate. And that's tracked on PSN profiles. And what that means basically is how on average how many trophies you get in a game, percentage wise, and I'm at 35.5% right now, which is,
what do you want to get that
decent. I'd like to get it to 40 or 50. It's a very slow grind because I wish that Sony would I understand why Sony doesn't let you delete your trophies. I get that. I mean, people are like, why don't they let you? They should. I'm like, because it would cause absolute fucking chaos if someone got into your if someone was I hacked into your account, they just delete all your trophies.
Yeah.
You'd be happy with that, I guess. That's why they don't let you delete your fucking trophies. But it would be cool if, I liked how they let you delete the 0% ones, and they should go further and say everything under 10% or 5% you can delete. Because I would get rid of a ton of shit, and then my percentage would increase. There are platinum trophies I get rid of if I could. But it's I don't want this. I don't know why I have some of these platinum trophies. I don't want these. I want to have a trophy list that I could really stand by, and that's what's important to me right now. So,
but why does it matter if you never go back to admire it?
Because I know that those numbers are accumulated in a forward manner, where when people look at those numbers, they know that those are honest numbers. And I think that mine are fairly honest. I think that of the 59 platinums I have, 45 of them or 50 of them are legit platinums, but I have Cloud of the Chance of Meatballs
Rango and all that shit.
And I'm I don't know why the fuck I did any of that. It was such a waste. It was just such a waste of my time. And I would take those back if I could and have a more honest trophy list. But no, I personally don't go back and admire them. I look at the numbers on my trophy list on PSN profiles. A lot of people do look at them. So I want I have 195,000 views or something on that profile. It's insane. I don't know why anyone cares, but I want when people go there to be well, this is actually a honest reflection of the games Colin actually spent time with.
Sure. Yeah, for me, I mean, we've had this conversation forever and ever and ever, where it's just like platinums are cool. They're not like my end all be all. I like getting trophies. I don't even think about like what 100 platinums would look like. I think one day I'll probably hit it. Yeah, you'd assume, right? Because if this sticks around through PlayStation 5 and 6 and whatever, like it's always going to happen where there's going to be an Uncharted game. There's going to be when Patapon comes out. Like there's things, everything, the Lego games. Like there are games I love so much that I want to do it and I want to make sure I hit it. But it seems like every time I'm like, a game's coming up, I'm like, yeah, I want to try to platinum that. We get to the point where we're not who we were when we were at IGN doing the trophy whoring, where it's like, yeah, I could keep playing Persona 4 dancing all night, but I've kind of maxed out on this, and I don't feel like sitting here and committing and powering through my moments with the game to get to the rest of it. Like, I've enjoyed it, I've done my part, and now I can move on.
The one thing that I think trophy developers can learn from trophy lists, similar to Titanfall 2, is like really just ridiculous bronze trophy for that speedrun thing, is making sure to get rid of trophies like that 1 or 2 trophies that stymie people from advancing, like the trophies that are so much harder and more annoying than everything else. And that's one of the major pieces of feedback in the game that I'm kind of like giving feedback with trophies on, that I gave, or I will give the team when I deliver my message, which is like there's 1 or 2 trophies in here. I'm like, these are not going to be fun for anybody. Like this isn't fun. You don't want to have someone get 95% of your trophies in 25 hours and then play for another 25 hours to get 1 trophy. That sucks. That's just bad.
1 bronze.
It's just so dumb. And so that's my major kind of thing I'm trying to avoid too, moving forward. But at the same time, I feel like platinums are fun to achieve and fun to get. I think the system's really kind of solid, way more interesting than achievements, which is why I wasn't into achievements. I was like, it's just numbers. Like, at least there's something here, like a metagame. And it's been 8.5 years since trophies were launched.
Hard to believe.
Which is Super Stardust HD.
I tweeted about that today of like, I went in to check something else on my PSN profile and saw that I just hit 7,000. It's so weird to see that as like a rounded off number, because usually it's some crazy ass figure. And what did to me was like, man, there's 7,000 since being in that room at Access PR with Super Stardust HD, and I think they had Uncharted 2. This is before they were live, obviously. But it was Eric Lampel showing us, like me and I think, not you, right? It was Roper, I think. Me and Roper went and saw it. And seeing this trophy system. And I remember how much I did not give a shit about achievements and how much I wasn't like, oh man, we need this for PlayStation. But leaving that meeting and being like, fuck, I'm going to be all up in that. That looks like a lot of fun. It's cool to start from zero. It's cool to have it with our community, the PlayStation community, and have some of that shorthand for it. But I also remember when I was starting, well, even you, because you weren't on the PlayStation, or before you came on, but I think you were still interested in trophies or whatever, but mainly when me and Roper were doing stuff with trophies, when Will Tuttle was just starting to burn out of achievements, because Will Tuttle was the crazy achievement guy. And I remember being like, oh man, I don't understand how you could ever not want to do this like this. And then like, years later now where it's just like, I don't fucking care. Like, it's fun and I love it and I want to get platinums, but I'm not going to sit there and, hey, here's another shitty fucking game. Like, I'm not going to play Wonder Book again, and I'm not going to do Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs, and I'm not going to do Rango. Like, I'm sure those games still exist where you and I sat there and fucking played garbage. But like,
I look at all the trophies that come out for games.
Yeah,
like, they do exist.
Yeah.
But I am confident in saying, not knowing the list yet, I have no inside information, that I think Horizon is a safe bet for a platinum.
For you getting yeah.
Hopefully, if they do it in a wise way,
as long as it is.
Gorilla's trophy lists are not very good usually, so I'm hoping that they.
And that's my fear, is like, don't make me replay it again. You know what I mean? It's this giant open world. Let me go through and have one thing where I can get it all at my leisure and go through, but not have to like, all right, cool, now speedrun the game. Mm-hmm. Now go through and do this on this difficulty.
That's the thing. The disappointing thing about Shantae, although. It's fine. I'm they're there. Yeah. It's not like the end of the world.
And that's the other thing too, is like, I think that's the whole piece of the puzzle to talk about with us, right? Is the fact of like, now that we're older, I don't begrudge anybody for going out and trying and being crazy about their trophies, nor do I if you're the big Shantae fan that you're going to go and play that over and over again, because you have a connection to that IP and that game and that world that I don't.
Well, that's why I platinum Shovel Knight, and everyone's like, oh, how did you even do that, or why did you even do that?
You loved it, right?
I loved
it. Yeah.
I mean, it's not an easy platinum, but
same thing with like when Uncharted or when Infamous 1 and 2 came around, or Second Son 2, where it's just like, well, I got to get this. I love what's happening. I love this world. I love this game. I want to go do it. But for me, the opposite happened with First Light, where it was like, awesome, played through, and then those challenge rooms, I just don't like challenge rooms. So I just didn't want to do it, so I never did it.
And the most painful thing, though, is the lost opportunities with trophies, where Mega Man Legacy Collection is a great example, where I'm like, what are you guys thinking? Like I don't understand. At the very worst, I thought you'd have a platinum for all 6 games, like a platinum overlap with all 6 of them under the umbrella, and at best, 6 platinum trophies, which if you actually just tried, you probably could have done. Right. And instead you get just 12 trophies for 6 games. It's like I just get so annoyed sometimes where I'm like, what are you guys doing? Can you possibly be thinking about with like, is no one telling you?
That's what it is. This is the whole argument we come back to, and where like it starts as a joke and now we're actually doing it, the trophy consulting kind of thing, is the fact of like a great example is yesterday. I'm like, I want to play a Lego game, and I looked at Lego Dimensions and I was like, well, no, I love the completion aspect in getting a platinum trophy for these Lego games. And Dimensions now with all their DLC packs only have like 3 bronzes and a silver. And it's like, I know that that's not TT Games saying this is what we want to do. I'm sure it's PlayStation saying this is what you have to do, and no one being the wiser between them to say, no, fuck that. That it doesn't have to be that way. There must be a way to make this better and do this differently. What can we do? How do we work this out? And someone who wants to push and push and push. Like we always say, like if there was a trophy department at PlayStation, or if there was a developer who's one person, all they care about is trophies, that they could lean on them. And
we're trying to fix it in our own small way with the games we're working with right now. But I will say that it is weird seeing the kind, like how that kind of turns me off from playing some things. Although I didn't like that first Shovel Knight expansion. It had 1 trophy, and I'm like, well, I don't know. I just don't understand. Like you would think Sony would push harder just simply because games would sell better. They would, just absolutely. But there are certain rules with trophies too. We can get into that in a later time. We don't have to keep.
But the rules, even those, the rules that PlayStation has established get pushed around all the time. And it's one of those, if you aren't looking at the trophy lists and playing all these different trophies and caring about it, you don't know that. You're a developer, they say this, you say, all right, that's how it's got to be. You can't sit there and like, wait. What about these 3 games? Why did these 3 games get this? Why? Well, Gone Home can't have a platinum, but My Name is Mayo does, or whatever. Like, what the fuck? No, there's something going on here.
That Mayo thing, I can't believe that game has a platinum trophy. Like, that's just the example now of being like if I was at a developer and be like, no, you can't have platinum, I'd be like,
yeah, I'm getting a platinum.
No, we're going to get one. Thanks.
That was a great. I want to end there. That was a good one. You got to get ready for your interview too. Colin, are you ready to meet your best friend?
Yes.
P.S. I love this best friend XOXO is a segment driven by you, the community. This is where one of you goes to kindafunny.com/forums, puts down your PSN name and a little message on why you need PSN friends and or goodwill. Then the rest of the best friends, they send friend requests to that best friend. They say, hey, PSN friend, let's be friends. You get a message and we love you very much. Today's PSN best friend of the week is Jonathan. His PSN name is Plumber Acting Up. Plumber Acting Up. He says, oi! Greetings and salutations from Hampshire,
Jesus
UK.
Christ.
A real place. Long time, first time. I've been following you guys since Beyond. Not sure the episode number, but this is my first time posting with the other best friends. I've listened to every single episode of the Kinda Funny Gamescast, and P.S. I love you, XOXO. Thank you very much, Plumber Acting Up. I've been a gamer since the Atari 2600, then a Sega and Nintendo kid, before really finding my home on PlayStation. When I got a PlayStation 4 in 2013, I took the slightly drastic choice of creating a new PSN account. Parentheses, for goodness sake, let us change our names. This was so that I could A, change my name, B, start a clean slate with trophies and my online presence, hence my seemingly paltry trophy score in history of games. As with many people, I'm trying to fit my hobby in with life commitments. For me, that includes helping to care for someone with young onset dementia and a brother with additional learning needs. So I don't get to play as often as I would like. None of my other friends or family really play games either. I'd love to meet some best friends online and chat with people about our shared passion, and those interactions would definitely help me with what can be a stressful life sometimes. Would love to get a shout out on the show, of course, too. Best of luck with everything you do. You guys are awesome. Tim and Kevin, too. Fuck you, Nick. And your success is well deserved. Jonathan, PSN name, Plumber Acting Up. Everybody, send your friend requests and good wishes to Plumber Acting Up. Make some good friends, play some games, and talk about them with Jonathan. Colin, this week's Forgotten PlayStation game comes from Ray Briggs 2, and you mentioned it earlier in the show. Hey, Colin and Greg. Let me make it quick. I have a Forgotten PlayStation game suggestion, and it's Puppeteer by Studio Japan. The game, visuals, unique story, voice acting, and replayability added up to a wonderful 20-plus hour playthrough of this game on my beloved PS3. The game simply oozes charm, and I loved the unique idea of replaying levels with different heads to unlock different routes to complete the game. IGN criminally underrated it at an 8.5. Rumor is they fired that reviewer, and he had to shack up with some fat nobody, and they were forced to start some 2-bit YouTube channel that is at best only kind of funny. I know there won't ever be a sequel, but I'd love to see that game get one. Thanks for everything you do, Ray Briggs 2, Lord XR.
The funny thing about that game is that when I went to Japan Studio the second time, a girl that I had never met, never seen it again before or since, came up to me and thanked me in perfect English for supporting that game and talking about it when no one else would.
Yeah.
And I'm glad that, and I did, and Sony focused heavily on me because I loved it so much. And I wrote quite a bit about it, but it really is a fantastic game. If you can, if you still have your PS3 hooked up and access to you don't need the move wands for it, but
it was better with though, right?
No, I don't think so. I don't remember. You could use it with move, but it's not like sorcery or something like that where you have to have them. You should go dig that game up. I think it's really, really special, and it's sad that no one played it.
Yeah.
I mean if that game sold 50,000 copies, I think that would be probably right.
PSN's worst name of the week comes from Tiz Levi. Of course, you can't change your network name on PlayStation, so every week we read a bad PlayStation Network name from you or about your friends, and we beg Shuhei to let us change. Tiz Levi says, my worst name is a story of what almost was and what would ultimately be the end of an era. Me and my friends were all big Xbox 360 gamers, and a few of us were known for having some pretty disgusting names. One so much that he was required to change it 9 times. We had a lot of laughs with others' reactions, but when the PlayStation 4 came out, I had a decision to make. Keep this filth train rolling or grow up. My friends had stuck with Xbox, so I was on my own this generation, and after finding out my name changes weren't possible, I made the right decision. So the sun set on the glory days of me and my friends. Raunchy Foreskin, that's RONCHY, the numeral 4, skin. Raunchy Butthole, spelled that way, and myself, She-Bush. Tiz Levi signing off. Those were good ones. Yeah. But he made the right choice, but it's sad that he had to, because he could have been She-Bush on the PSN and then changed it multiple times. Shuhei, you could be getting $15, $20 a pop every time it was changing.
I don't know what you had. I really have no idea what Sony's thinking. It's like totally insane. But I really feel like it's coming with the little hints we've been getting the last year or so.
I feel like we've been getting hints even longer than that though.
We've gotten concrete hints from conference calls.
I know.
We've gotten press. We've gotten internal presentations.
We've gotten PowerPoint presentations that mention it. Where the fuck is it then?
And now the patch notes for certain engines are talking about how they're talking about identifying usernames differently. So it's definitely in the works. I mean, what the fuck do I know? It seems like it's definitely in the works.
Raunchy Foreskin, Raunchy Butthole, and She-Bush were brought to you by Blue Apron. Did you know, Colin, I've used Blue Apron and cooked with it?
I did know that.
They send you all the prepackaged ingredients there, along with a little instruction manual. You sit, and I'm talking about like literally, they're like, you need 2 teaspoons of salt, and there's a little bag that says salt on it, and then you use it whenever it says to on your little instructions, and you make delicious meals. I made a bunch of buffalo chicken sandwiches back in the day. I also learned how to make French fries the way they make them there. And the way they did them, because not like I didn't want to bring out the fryer, I don't do all this stuff. They did like the potato wedge French fries, kind of like you'd get at a KFC, you know what I mean? But how I could bake them, real good.
Remember when we got into an argument because you wanted to deep fry a turkey in the house, and I was telling you my dad, the New York City firefighter, told me not to do that. He put out literally 20 fires in New York City.
And do you remember when I said this whole fucking purpose of this turkey fryer is that it's made to be used at home? The whole infomercial you didn't watch was about how they don't want you to burn down your house. And we got a big fight, and I cooked the turkey in there, and it was delicious. Was the turkey good?
It was so long, I can't remember what I even ate last night for dinner. So.
That was when I looked at photos about that. It was when we did Thanksgiving at the house, and then we did a podcast Beyond with Goldfarb right afterwards. But the turkey was delicious. Anyways,
that's when we had passion.
That was when we had a passion project for turkey. Now you can go to Blue Apron. Do all the stuff there. Cooking together builds strong family bonds. Research shows that Blue Apron families cook nearly 3 times more often. Also, it's a good way to save money. Those who spend a lot of restaurants or at high-end grocery chains now spend under $10 per person for a delicious meal. Upcoming Blue Apron meals: spicy shrimp and Korean rice cakes with cabbage and faraki. I don't know what the hell that is. Pork chops and garlic piccata. I don't know what that is. With scallion rice and spinach. That's the whole thing, though, is they teach you how to...
Spinach? What is this word? Spinaches?
You start doing it, you learn different things. I like cooking a lot, obviously, and Blue Apron helped kickstart that in terms of here's a bunch of stuff you never would. So if you need to do it and you want to do it, it's affordable. You get a variety and it's flexible because you get to go pick what you want. Check out this week's menu and get your first 3 meals free with free shipping by going to blueapron.com/ILoveYou. You will love how good it feels and tastes to create incredible home-cooked meals with Blue Apron, so don't wait. That's blueapron.com/ILoveYou. Blue Apron, a better way to cook. Ladies and gentlemen, this has been PS I Love You XOXO, episode 69. Thank you so much for joining us. Remember, PS I Love You XOXO is kindafunny.com's PlayStation podcast. It is the #1 PlayStation podcast on the internet, and it posts every Tuesday at 9 a.m. Pacific time on youtube.com/kindafunnygames, and then somewhere around that time on podcast services around the globe. But sometimes you have to tweet me and say, hey, the MP3 isn't up. And I'll go, all right, SoundCloud kind of sucks, and I can't automate it, so I'll do it from my phone here in this Uber. And I do it, and then I thank you, because where would I be without you? Subscribe to all the channels, do all the things. Every episode of PS I Love You XOXO ends in a song in a segment we call Singing a Shoehei. This is where one of you talented motherfuckers goes to kindafunny.com/PSM, the M is for music, and you give me an MP3 of your song that I can download without paying for it, you fucking cheapskates, and a YouTube video. I will then take the YouTube video, annotate to at the end of our YouTube video, take your MP3 and play at the end of our MP3. Now, Colin, last week, Kinda Funny celebrated its 2-year anniversary, and we published Kinda Funny Live 2 on the Patreon pages. You can go there, you can watch it. The rest of you who don't want to pay, no big deal. It'll be up in February. However, on that episode of Kinda Funny Live 2, you rap with the one and only Mega Ran. Mega Ran submitted a song today. Mega Ran says, Happy New Year! After a long and crazy year, all I can say is thank God we had video games. As usual, I hop in the studio to wrap it up the best way I know how. Was 2016 a great year for gaming? Did I forget your favorite? Let me know. May 2017 be epic. So this is Mega Ran's yearly rap about the year in gaming.
That's great.
So here he says, the beaten mix is by K Murdoch. We're going to play it here. You can, of course, just go to twitter.com/Mega Ran. Find him all over the place. Go download it there. Buy things. And until next time, no. It's been our pleasure to serve you.